going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestle Purists podcast. Well, call it a podcast. It's more of just a post show. We're just kind of going live after the WWE Clash at the Castle show in Cardiff. And yeah, man, I'm here with P, Rob, and Backup Hangman, soon to be joined by our lovely Isra as well. She shouldn't be too long. And yeah, man, we're just going to talk a bit of Clash at the Castle. Solo Sikoa, Tyson Fury, Theory getting owned.
Those three being the first three names you said for the show is fucking disgusting.
You know, WWE, man. You know, you get what you get.
Yeah,
yeah, man. What did you guys think of the show? I'll start with you, P.
Yeah, I mean, I thought there was some awesome wrestling on the show. Like, I loved Sheamus and Gunther. Like, that was awesome. One of the best WWE main roster matches like in a long time. I'd say it's like that and Cody Seth and Brock Roman at the last pay-per-view for the best in like years, and they've all come pretty close within each other. So that WWE's on a pretty good stretch in that sense of like putting on matches that are better than just very good. Riddle and Seth was really good too. And I enjoyed the main event in terms of the match itself, but there's also like just a pretty solid amount of that classic like WWE like bullshit that I hate about WWE. And I don't say that to be patronizing, but because I think a lot of people agree with me in like the Dominic turn and staying with Liv like all this time, and then of course the main event finish with not going with Drew and being that sort of whimper after a really hot show, just in terms of like crowd investment and everything like that. So that was kind of disappointing, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just a wrestling fan, and if you give me like multiple great matches like this show did, I'm pretty happy. So I'd give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, fair enough. Backup Hangman, what are your immediate thoughts overall about the show?
I had a lot of fun watching this. I think by a pretty if Drew would have won the main event, I would have said this would have been like the best wrestling WWE pay-per-view. By a country mile, Drew's Lex Luger 93 moment. I'm actually not familiar with that reference because I've never seen anything of 93 WCW, surprisingly. But I'd imagine Luger got geeked in the main event. But I think I think from a wrestling standpoint, this was like the strongest overall WWE event in some time. It was really heated show, great crowd, great atmosphere. It was one of those atmospheres that like they elevated a lot of just like fine wrestling in some of the undercard matches. And like it was a really good vibe throughout the night overall. Yeah, I think I told this to Parker off the air. I think that this is a show that if you're a detractor of WWE, it's kind of the perfect show for you because you spend time watching the show and like you are rewarded to a degree with some really good wrestling. You know, there was two really strong matches on the show, the same ones that Parker mentioned. But there's enough there that like you can kind of get your takes off if that's your thing, if that's your kind of thing. Luger had a count out victory in a title match at SummerSlam, and the show went off the. Oh no, I do know
it's
that.
The Yokozuna.
Yeah, why am I thinking WCW? Yeah, I know that finish. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think this is the type of show that if you're a detractor of WWE, there's enough there to kind of like dunk on, like whether it be Drew McIntyre, kind of getting geeked in his home country, or you could. There's a lot of logistical silliness you could poke at with the Dominic stuff, and we'll get into that. And yeah, depending on where you land, like I don't think anyone can, even if you're more forgiving on her than others. I think everyone can agree that like Liv Morgan is not up to the standard as a wrestler as like some of the really upper tier modern women's wrestlers of WWE. So like it's just leading to a lot of pay-per-view matches where it's like when that match comes on, you're just rolling your eyes. It's like, oh my god, this is up next. Damn, I gotta like sit through this, and you're just kind of waiting for it to end or hopefully get better. But with that said, though, I did have fun for a lot of this. The atmosphere was great. The show looked really good visually. There was a ton of people in there. The strong crowd, like I pointed out. Walter Sheamus was like a genuine like highlight for me in the sense that like I don't certain level of wrestling matches, it takes a certain level of a match to like get me like physically and I'm reacting physically and screaming at my television. And I was actually screaming at my TV during their match. Like when they started hitting each other at the beginning, I was literally like rooting for them to hit each other harder. And then they did, and I was like, let's fucking go. So it was awesome, man. It very much a Kobashi era Noah title match type of match. So I love that. And yeah, so overall, I would say this was a good show. But unfortunately, and it's just I don't know why promotions do this, and it's WWE signature. Like when you're putting a show together, why do you want to end on a note that like is just going to be dubious and disputed by people? You know what I mean? Like you know that Drew and I'll get into just the Drew McIntyre thing overall and whether he should be the person, the guy. But at the end of the day, in this situation that you yourself set up, that you made the situation where he is wrestling in Cardiff, Wales for the title. You know, you didn't have to book him there. You could have put him in a different spot and had him face somebody else, but you chose to put him in this situation. If you set up that situation where this is the atmosphere in the crowd, I don't know how you could think, yeah, we'll just have him lose and like we'll just kind of get away with it. You know, like I don't see how that's a logical line of thinking. And so I don't understand closing a show like that. And ultimately, I think it's one of those things that it's gonna cause a lot of people to maybe not be as high on this event than maybe they could have been had the decision been different. But yeah, we'll get into all of it. What do you think of the show, Rob?
You bored him to sleep?
No. No, I actually really liked the show. I thought it was a very good show, other than like one or two matches that was on the show. I thought in my own personal opinion, I mean, I know we'll get into it further, but I think that Walter and Sheamus was like the WWE match of the year, just with how the crowd was reacting to both guys and how over Sheamus was. It was really, really good. We'll get into Dominic when we get into Dominic. But no, yeah, like I just don't get the ending either. I'm with everybody else. I don't get the ending. It's like you have this whole match, and the match was great. I kind of knew the ending was coming, and we'll get into that. But then it's like what happens after the match. You just have him sing. And going off what Hangman said, I'd much rather you just ended the show than you just have them sing at the end of the show. Like I don't understand like why they did that whole thing. But I guess they were trying to have them go off the air on a good note. So
doing house show shit.
Yeah. That was literally like house show off the air type stuff that we were subjected to for like 6-7 minutes, and I'm sitting there like, okay, if you're showing me this, like, are we getting a return after this or what? Because otherwise, you could have just like Parker said, like you could have just done this for the live crowd, you know. But yeah,
I think they clearly like they wanted to ended on a positive note with something good because I do think Triple H is cognizant of the idea that there's a decent portion of the fan base who is like tired of Drew or is tired of Roman, and of course the live crowd especially wants like clearly wanted that title change, and I could see being like concerned about the crowd turning on the show, but at the same time my thought is like if you're worried about the crowd like doing like an uprising against your booking, like that's probably like bad booking. Like you shouldn't do it then.
Yeah, then just book a different finish.
Yeah, just do something different. You know, like you want to ostensibly, if you're a businessman, you want to do what's going to make your fans happy, right? So I don't know. So that was just strange to me. But yeah, I was sure Tyson was going to deck him or something like that.
$5 super chat from RJ Bagadion. Robbing McIntyre's moment to give the belt to the crying merchant is insane. This person's referencing Cody Rhodes. You know, I got to be honest with you. I said this in the chat. I've been vocal about this. You know, to me personally, Cody Rhodes is the person that should beat Roman Reigns. The timing of his injury kind of ruins a lot of this because it's like now then you have to drag this out to Mania probably. And it's like, damn. So what are you doing in between? Was Drew robbed of a moment? Yeah, he was. He absolutely was. And it caused the show to end in just an awkward, flat note. But I'll get into it more in detail later about just the broader conversation. I do think personally, this is just my personal opinion, even though Drew's a really, really great worker, I do think Cody would be a better top guy and face of the company. But I think some of this is caused by the issue of the titles being unified. I know some people prefer having one championship. But because it's on Roman and the way his reign is structured and the fact that he's not a full-time competitor, it's really, really, really a big booking problem. And so like I said, you're gonna continue to have issues with these pay-per-views where it's like, okay, you have to close with the one title match, but you know how the title match is probably gonna end, especially for the rest of the year. Roman's gonna choke someone out, or he's gonna do a spear, or whatever the hell it's gonna be. And then you're gonna have these other situations where Hunter's gonna be like, oh, I gotta protect the babyface though. And it's like, okay, so the idea of protection is gonna be Usos interference, Solo Sikoa interference, Paul Heyman interference, and that type of smoke and mirrors happening in world title matches where the babyface doesn't win is just going to be frustrating. It's going to be very similar to what happens in New Japan with the House of Torture and Evil. So we have a bit of a Roman Reigns problem on our hands, and I think it won't be completely cured, but it would be mitigated if the championships were separated.
Yeah, definitely. Also, because I forgot to do it at the start, like, subscribe. If you want to send super chats like we just replied to, obviously please send super chats, and we'll put them up on screen, etc., etc. And yeah, man. Also, I wanted to just quickly bring up, because we spoke a little bit about Gunther Sheamus. We'll start with that actually, because that was like the first big highlight of the show.
Sure.
Obviously, about the Damage Control versus, I'll call them the All Stars. That opened the show, but it kind of, just happened. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. Well, I'd say like the first big talking point of the show was Giovanni Vinci. He's back with Imperium. Imperium is fully back together. Sure. Wearing the black attire instead of the red as well. Just nice little changes to the presentation. Obviously, an extra member who we all know is a great worker. Yeah, man, it was good stuff.
That's just a common sense decision, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I was thinking about this, skimming through some of Walter's recent stuff on SmackDown. I was like, man, they had to fill out this trio, and I'm like, okay, maybe if they put this guy, maybe if they, call Thatcher, maybe they put Gulak, but frankly, it's just like the third member of his group is employed by your promotion, and it's like, what is he really doing in NXT? He's just there. Why not just call him up?
Doing high fashion.
Like, who fucking cares? It's just common sense booking. So yeah, just reunite Imperium, call them Imperium, because why not? And so that was a common sense decision. It's unfortunate that now everybody has different names because of the situation you set it up. And it's like, to change it back, you'd have to like kind of weirdly be like, well, I'm not Giovanni Vinci. I'm really Fabian Eichner. And it's like, oh, I'm not Ludwig Kaiser. I'm Marcel Bartz. Like, whatever. I don't know what they end up doing with that. But the bottom line is Walter surrounded by his two main guys. It's just what makes sense. And so doing that and putting them in their old outfits, the black outfits, and giving Walter the original big black jacket that says Ring General, it just makes sense. So that was a genuine pop for me. And like, I think the inevitable trios match with them and Sheamus and Butch and Ridge Holland's gonna be cool. So you could do some stuff there. I thought the match was sensational. It's one of those matches, and I've said this in the past, like, WWE, because of their stylistic limitations and formulas that they put on their wrestlers, for certain guys, it just holds back their potential because of how they work, right? And so certain types of wrestlers just can't thrive the way that they can in other places, because they have to work the WWE structure of shine, heat, comeback, and with the WWE pacing of things. It's why that, like, you'll sometimes see like a graphic of a dream match on a match that would be considered a dream match elsewhere on a Raw or SmackDown. Like, okay, this is just going to be like kind of good here. Like, for example, Walter faced Ricochet like a month or two ago, and it's like that match 4 or 5 years ago is like that's like blow away, but like on a SmackDown, it's just like, all right. And it's because of the limitations put on the wrestlers. I think that the most optimistic thing for me about this match, I thought it was a statement of intent, in the sense of, you're telling the viewer that, like, we're going to let wrestlers wrestle their preferred way of wrestling. And so Walter and Sheamus just went out there and they just elbowed each other, and they chopped each other, and they slammed each other, and they literally beat the shit out of each other. This is not a match that would have happened 2 months ago on WWE programming. I don't think Vince would have allowed this type of match in this exact way. And so I was appreciative that I got to see it. And one of the things that I thought also watching it was, you let Gunther continue on this type of trend for a few more months, having high level pay-per-view matches for the Intercontinental title, and he'll pretty easily become the greatest Intercontinental champion of all time. And that might sound like hyperbole, but it's really not, because to me, a great title reign is just a collection of tremendous matches. And so you give a guy of his level the space to just do this for a couple more months and have like 4 or 5, 6 of these more under his belt, then yeah, he's just going to be awesome. So it's great that he's holding the championship. Sheamus is awesome. I've never been more wrong in a wrestler than I have with Sheamus, because I was not a fan of Sheamus for a long time. I was not a believer in Sheamus. Yeah, I just thought he looked stupid, and I didn't get it. Yeah, I just thought he looked dumb, and I didn't get it. I didn't get it, And for the longest time, I guess my hang was like, I just can't see him leading a company. But like now, I just see him for what he is, and what he is a tremendous wrestler. He's a physical, just beast. He's so consistent. Like he doesn't have bad matches with anybody. He just beats the hell out of people. And when he's in with someone great, like it's always great. His matches with Drew McIntyre are all fantastic. His match tonight was like, again, like you guys have said, a WWE match of the year contender, right up there with the Cody match, right up there with the Bianca Mania match. So this was stellar. This was not just a highlight, the first highlight of the show. This is easily like the crown jewel highlight of the entire event. And if someone asked me, like, recommend me one thing from Clash of the Castle, before anything, I'm telling you, just as a piece of business and as a wrestling match, watch this. Like, this is great. I'd recommend this to people who don't even like WWE, because it's that awesome, for
sure.
And so that's how it's like really, really good. So that's my thoughts on the match.
That match was so good. It was just awesome. Sheamus he's Ishii. He's Kazuchika Higuchi. He's Yuma Aoyagi. He's somebody who you don't need to be your top guy. He probably won't be your world champion, but he's like so insanely talented in the ring, and in my opinion has been for a long time.
Yeah.
That you like, he's so essential. And this match was so disappointing. Like, I think it was after this match you tweeted, you were like, Hangman, you were like, man, Vince McMahon was so fucking garbage at what he did. And it's like, and this is like evidence of that. He would never, like you were saying, never let Sheamus and Gunther do a match like this, right?
And it's like, why not? Like, why not?
Yeah, why? Like, why? Everyone loved it. It was awesome. Like, I don't know. So this match was so good, and it was disappointing. It was almost like disappointing watching it, because it was like, wow, Sheamus has been in WWE for 13 years now. He debuted in 2009.
Wow.
And he's been world champion multiple times, and he's won a Royal Rumble, and he's done practically everything there is to do. And yet it only feels like now he's actually being allowed to do what he's capable of doing.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's like disappointing, because when you are so clearly this great, like, people don't just waltz into matches of this caliber. Like, you have to be fantastic to have a match this good.
Yeah.
And Sheamus is. So I was really happy to see that, because I have been such a fan for a long time. He's been my answer. It's either been him or Rollins since Punk left for my favorite guy in the company. And so I'm very happy that both of those guys got to show up and show out on this show. So that was great. And I want to, and of course it's great that Gunther too is able to come out and be himself as well, because on the main roster, like you said, he wrestled Ricochet. Even like just a couple weeks ago, the Nakamura match, and maybe that was more of Nakamura's fault, but I didn't think that match was like anything to write home about necessarily. And so for him to come out and be like, all right, this is Gunther, right? This is a Gunther wrestling match. Okay, this is Walter. You know what I'm saying? This is that's a big deal. So I was thrilled with this match. I was loving it. I was like, this is great. If you have a match this good on your show, it's like hard to be anything but a positive show. So yeah,
I know real quick, Rob. You know what I noticed, Parker? Two things. So on your last appearance, you kind of made the joke about how like the difference with Walter truly and like Gunther, it's not like, you kind of joked like it isn't really the weight difference, even though that's very striking. It's just like letting him actually act like and be Walter. And I noticed here that he's not quite as visually imposing, without the extra added size and weight. but for all the titty jokes, like, but he did wrestle like Walter. Like his move set wasn't streamlined. He wasn't, holding back his physicality. Like he was like, no, there's a sequence where like Sheamus is on the ropes and he's literally just chop, elbow, chop, elbow, chop, elbow, chop, elbow. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then the second thing is, when we were talking about Vince and, not allowing this type of wrestling, like I was always of the belief that like, because of that, you have to kind of train your audience to, kind of understand and accept other ways of wrestling. And I still do believe that to a degree, but what this did show is that you just put on like really beast wrestling in front of people and they're just going to like it, not every style, obviously, because I think certain really grapple oriented technical wrestling is just not going to work for certain types of live crowds. But a match like this, where they're just being really violent with each other physically in front of a WWE audience, yeah, they're going to like it the way any other audience would, because it's just great. These fans are eating this shit up. So yeah.
Rob, what was your takeaways from this epic?
That's
two Europeans kicking the shit out of each other.
That match was insane. Like it started, but first, not even with the match. It was like when, like Peach said in the chat, I think that they should have had. Well, if they're going to change his name back, I think they should have done it during the entrance. But then when Marcel was sitting there, he was like, then we go, here comes Giovanni Vinci. And I was like, what the fuck? What are you talking about, Giovanni Vinci? And then you have the whole Imperium just like standing there, squatted out. It was like, bro, It was insane. And then they had the scenery that they did, not this week on SmackDown, but the week before this week on SmackDown, where they were beating each other up. And now it's like it's even, because you have like Butch or Pete Dunne and I think it was like Fabian beating the shit out of each other, and then you have the other guys beating the shit out of each other. And I'm standing like all these great wrestlers standing off in this ring, and there's just Rich Holland just doing nothing as always.
Yeah. He didn't know who to fight. He had nobody to fight. Yeah.
The opening was really cool though, like with everybody brawling and then the two guys just staring off.
Yeah,
just like simple touches like that.
It's just cool. Yeah, Dunn doing a moonsault to the outside and stuff like that.
So then the match starts, and I'm like, so what are they going to start with? Obviously, they're not going to start out with a collar and elbow tie up, bro. Like, and this is so good for Sheamus, and I feel like this is so great for Sheamus because I told everybody in the group chat. I remember like I was 8 years old and I was watching Sheamus on TV, and he was slowly making that face turn against Mark Henry, and I was like, I knew he was supposed to be a bad guy. But then I was like, bro, I kind of like Sheamus, dog. Like, I'm not, bro. Sheamus literally has my only, like, Big Show's best match ever to me at Hell in a Cell 2012. That's how good he is.
Wait, like, who? What wrestling?
Big Show versus Sheamus for the world title.
I never seen that. I never seen
2012. He's just so good. He's just so good. And it's just like he's been the only reason why people I think shit on him is because he's been put in all these shitty positions, like the position he got put in 2015, right? Like when he was doing that whole thing with what was their names?
The League of
Nations.
The League of Nations. He got stuck with the League of Nations, which was basically like let's make a faction so Roman can shit on this faction every time. I mean, it's like, but he's been so good for so long, and obviously,
it's like so bad.
I'm just like laughing.
with Alberto Del Rio and Wade Barrett is in Zeb. Was
Zeb Coulter was like the mouthpiece.
That's so stupid.
What's happening? I was like, wait, I'm sitting here watching this.
Yeah, Rusev was in it.
I'm sitting here watching this like he's managing all these guys from different countries, but then at the same time he's supposed to be xenophobic. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it was weird. Do you remember Del Rio returned in 2015 with Zeb? Yeah. Even though Zeb's whole thing was like he's like racist, And then
for like no sense. Yeah. In hindsight, it's crazy that in the last decade we had like Zeb Coulter doing multiple racist gimmicks, like with different. Like that was like not that long ago.
Parker, you know what blows my mind, Parker? Because the other night I was watching Dynamite, right? Mm-hmm. And I was on Discord and I was watching Jake Hager wrestle, and someone in the Discord was like, "Is this like Hager's best stretch of matches?" And I said other than like maybe 2013, like maybe because I think that was probably his strongest point. Hager for that is like him when he was kind of with Zeb and Claudio. was a solid run for him in WWE. And then I just thought about Zeb for a second, and I was like, man, like that was like right before Trump, and this man was just kind of like these immigrants in this country. And
bro, do you remember the Darren Young segment? The when he was with the primetime players, when he basically called the primetime players thugs on TV?
I'm sure he did. He was. It's just insane. It's just insane that like he got that off on TV. Yeah.
They keep they're starting to club each other and they're starting to chop each other, and I'm like, yo, this is let's start going. Yeah. And then you have, I love the little touch where it's like Walter's getting beat up by Sheamus so much, he's like, fuck, I gotta get away from this guy. Like he's I didn't expect this. He's beating the shit out of me. It's just like the all the false finishes and everything, bro. It was insane. What's up, Israel?
Hey everyone.
How you doing, Israel?
I'm doing great.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm doing this on my phone. Can you flip this to the side? Is that like a thing we could do or no?
I'm not sure. You can try it.
Yeah, you can try.
Today was, I think, the very first pay-per-view I ever witnessed in real life that wasn't in my dreams, where Liv Morgan and Seth Rollins had a match that they both won. I'm like my hands were shaking. Like I felt like my heart. No, for once I finally won something.
Before you continue your monologue, please tweet this link out.
Yeah, please.
I'm doing everything on my phone. I don't know. Okay.
It'll keep you in the stream if you go to Twitter.
Okay.
You can finish your overall thoughts though. It's just like
I can't.
I don't know what happened.
Wait.
You're coming through on the phone, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Put heart emojis in the chat for me, please. The flame heart emojis.
You need to bring your fan base over. That's what you need to do. All right, you know what you do? Give us your opening thoughts and then dip out, tweet this link out, and then just come right back.
Okay, so my opening thoughts. Yeah. I won. I got to see Liv shining. I feel like tonight was like one of her best matches. Seth, I know how you guys like to think that you're different, and you're like, you know, this is the straight men's circle. This is the opinions of a bunch of straight cis men. Cool. You can have that. I will let you have that. But the truth is, she ate. She had such a great performance. Seth had such a great performance. I don't particularly care about most men's wrestling if it doesn't involve Seth Rollins, but Gunther and Sheamus.
That was incredible.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like I lost it. Like I called my sister. She was busy. I'm like, bitch, you better get home. Like I need you to see this match.
Their bodies were so red afterwards. Yeah.
I sent her a picture of Sheamus's chest. I'm like, this is what I want to see from men's wrestling. You could keep that grappling shit. You could keep that like building momentum. I just want two big men beating the dog shit out of each other.
Let's go.
You know what I realized watching that match? I was like, yo, a really strong chop might be one of the most fire moves ever just in wrestling. Like just a really
and then when Sheamus got his, I don't know if you guys like we're gonna go like more deeper into the matches or if you already did without me, but there was this one point where like Sheamus got his he did his whatever that shit is called on the announce table. I lost my fucking mind.
Are you talking about you're talking about the thing where like he beats the chest like 10 times?
Because Sheamus was getting put through hell the whole match, and then when he finally like got to do it back, I lost it because he took a beating. Okay, what are my other thoughts? Drew lost. Sucks to suck. Listen, I'm about to go tweet this link out.
Yes.
This is about to skyrocket like 5 million. Yeah. I'll be right back. Okay.
Please do so. Please do so. We're kind of
behind. To finish off my thoughts on the match, like what she just said, when I got really hyped, the part where I really got hyped is when he had him over the table like she said, and he started beating the shit out of him. And then Walter was like, whoa, this is a little bit much. I got to go back in the ring. And they kept going, and then they start doing, the All Japan trade-offs and shit like that. Like, bro,
firing up off a German. That's like,
I know,
in this company,
bro. When he hit him with that German, he said, he got
a high angle, not even just a regular, a high angle German pops right back up, and the camera's on Sheamus, and he's literally like,
Irish Ishii.
Let's go.
Irish Ishii. That's the other thing about Sheamus, Parker. Like when you're talking about like, yeah, he's accomplished a lot in WWE, but it's like, yo, looking at his style in this type of match, imagine if he was in Japan for a couple of years to just work with people like Takagi and Ishii. Like he literally have like 4 times as many 4-star matches like under his catalog.
People genuinely would consider him like
one of the best of his generation.
He would be like in 2017 when everybody started. There were all these big guys on the indies like Walter, and they had Keith Lee and Thatcher and like Jonah. And Dijak, right? And all these guys, and like Sheamus is like as good as any of them. He would have been.
Frankly, he's better than a couple of those guys you named flat out.
Absolutely. Like, I would say
he's better than Dijak. He's better than Jonah. Keith Lee at his absolute peak, it's debatable. Walter at his absolute top is better than all of them, but yeah, like he'd be right there. He'd be right there.
Yeah, and he just never got his full chance. He's been in tag teams or in like shitty heel gimmicks or even when it's so weird because like this isn't controversial to say that WWE has been like bad for a long time, but like he's such a big, imposing, athletic guy. Yeah. And yet, even when he was a heel champion, he would always like cheat and do bullshit or like just barely escape. And it was like, I don't know. I just never understood it. I just never got it.
Who was producing those matches when you think about it? Because it's like that's the thing. He's this big badass motherfucker, and like he's like being like this like smarmy heel who cheats and running away from people and stuff. And it's like, thank you, Israel. But it's like, dude, the way he should be working is like, you're gonna have to fight this guy, and most people can't do that.
I feel like.
Wait, what are we talking about right now?
How awesome Sheamus is!
I feel like
Sheamus is awesome. Yo, I'm sorry, I'm turning off. But like, Sheamus is just one of those guys that like he just has it, but not everyone
sees it.
No, not everyone brings it out of him. I feel like when you have like a really formidable opponent, he goes crazy. Like his best of 7 with Cesaro, still one of my feuds in wrestling. I tweeted that I want a best of 7 with Sheamus and Gunther. I feel like that would be life changing.
Park went,
life changing.
I'll take it.
Honestly, that's the thing. Like, I feel like we don't have to move off this. Like, we can keep fighting.
I feel like I was gonna say. I feel like Sheamus is like, if you don't know what gaijin means in Japan, it's like it basically means foreign talent outside of Japan. I feel like he's one of the few gaijin that would like actually get the retirement ceremony because that's how good he was.
Did it flip?
I'm just I was thinking. Yes, it did. You're good. Okay. I was thinking of like in like about 10 years ago when Mark Henry had that awesome heel run on top as champion. Yeah. And like that's like Sheamus could easily have done that too and would have had better matches. So I don't know. I just don't get why they did things. But my big point is like it's too bad that he wasn't utilized properly for so long. And yet at the same time, I'm very happy that he's finally able to show what he can do.
You know what else hit me? I'm watching this match and I'm like, even though some people kind of laugh at it, I am a big proponent of like making belts feel valuable, making them feel like they mean something. And so I'm very big on, making your mid-card belts feel like absolute attractions, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm watching this, I'm like, man, like this is what the Intercontinental Championship is all about. This is what the belt needs, yada, yada. But then as the show progressed after this match, and I was still enjoying it, I was like, this is so much on another level from a lot of the other stuff that like, why can't this just be the world title stuff? Right. You know what I mean? Like, why can't this be the like thing on, like, why can't this be what, the main event stuff? And I know other things come into factor and ratings and drawing power and blah, 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 but it's like in a setting like WWE where they're going to draw what they draw no matter what for the most part. It's just kind of a shame because it's like, yeah, man, like, I think Triple H is obviously going to emphasize wrestling more in his era, and you know, with the inclusions of someone like a Gargano and re-emphasizing a Kevin Owens, and you know, positioning Drew a certain way, like you're basically trying to put back good workers in key spots so that you get more good matches, you know, so less of the, you know, Happy Corbin type shit and some of these other guys who just got big spots that just weren't very, you know, good at wrestling, and that's great. And so I think a further extension of this is, bro, why can't we see Walter and Brock Lesnar wrestle at WrestleMania?
Mhm.
You know,
Bro, like I tweeted and I put it in the group chat. Like I don't think there's ever been like a standing ovation after a match that's ever made me tear up like I did when Sheamus got that standing ovation, bro.
That was awesome.
He deserved it. He really deserved
that.
That
was beautiful. That was beautiful.
He was so over. Like the crowd like hated Gunther and loved Sheamus. Yeah,
I was
that was
surprised
awesome.
at that. I thought they were gonna like it was gonna be maybe split or.
I wanted to bring that up, to be honest, because I thought obviously at the start I feel like the crowd was just kind of hot for the match in general, but Walter is such a good fucking heel, man. Like, we can all talk about like how aggressive and how hard his chops are and stuff, but there is like, you know, there is a science to the way that he does it. And you know, for a big guy like Sheamus to make him like the sympathetic babyface who was getting the shit kicked out of him, and every time Sheamus would try to build up a bit of a comeback, he would get cut clean back off with something brutal. It was just a really well structured match as well. And Walter got off. He got over really well as a heel because he's just fucking incredible, and obviously that added to how great Sheamus is, and he kind of ran with it as well. So yeah, man, it was just
question for you guys. So the next pay-per-view is Extreme Rules. I'd imagine they'd be inclined to run this back with a stipulation. But with the way these guys wrestle, and Bryan Danielson said this once, I think in an AEW promo or in an interview at a scrum or something, about how like I don't need weapons, like I'm violent with my bare hands, and like, you know, you can see that as cheesy, but it's like straight up true. You know what I mean? Do you guys think a stipulation makes this match better, worse, or the same, or just different?
They should do First Blood.
Yeah,
that's like the only thing. That's like, if WWE was so inclined to maybe try something like that, they could do it with these two. But aside from that, it's like no. I mean, just
let him wrestle. Right?
Gunther's unique because he hasn't, like, even on the Indies, he didn't do very much hardcore or gimmick matches stuff. Yeah, he was just Walter.
Yeah.
So that would be unique. But at the same time, like, Drew and Sheamus had obviously just a month ago, but also they had a really awesome series in like early last year of hardcore matches that were great too. So I mean, I tend to think that even though I agree with you that it was so good without it, it'd be difficult to top for sure. But at the same time, like if you're either good or you're not, and Gunther's like fantastic, and so in a weapon setting, I'm sure he could make it work.
Yeah. It's just interesting to think about. To me, like, when I just think about this, it's like I wouldn't run so quickly off this duo, because it's like you look at the SmackDown roster, like what better options do you have? You know what I mean? Like at this level, like what are you gonna do? Rush Gunther to face whoever it's gonna be? It's just not gonna be on the same level. Like
they just need to do a best of 7.
Someone
in the comments, I really like this comment. Hold on.
2 out of 3 falls would work for me.
Mandu said those men are the weapons, and I agree. I feel like we don't need a stipulation. I think you just need to make them wrestle like for the next year straight. Like why are we thinking of like all of these like hoops that we got to jump through? Like, you've seen the match. Everyone saw the match. Now we need it in like 5 or 6 different settings, and then everyone can have their favorite. But it's all of them are going to be good. Listen, I don't ever get excited about men's wrestling.
Yeah.
So that's how you know this is great.
Yeah, no.
And also, it's like it's good to see different styles being showcased at the highest level.
Yes, thank fucking God.
Like, not every match needs to be, 80%, lockups and building up to some grandiose moment. The whole match could just be moment after moment after moment. Yeah. And I think when people think of that, they think, oh, it's all flippy shit. Like, no, there's so many other ways to showcase different styles on a higher level and on a fast-paced level without having to do flips. Not that I'm against that, but no, I just feel like this is so refreshing to WWE and to wrestling in general, because we don't always get something like this on WWE, especially.
Never.
That's why I'm gonna petition for a best of 7, and that's why I think they need to do a trios match too.
Yes, the trios match needs to happen.
A few of them.
Yeah. That could be the stipulation
that
match.
Dunn
actually,
came out without the Oliver twist.
Mm-hmm.
Looking fit, like he looked normal.
I know. So
did he get his name back or no?
He has not got his name back, but 2 things have happened this week when it comes to his presentation. On NXT, he appeared on an iPad, and he was giving Tyler Bate advice for his match with Braun Breaker at Worlds Collide, and it was notable for 2 reasons. Number one, it was the first time he spoke since becoming Butch, because Butch is mute. And so, and the thing is, they didn't call him Pete Dunne, but everything about his presentation and what he was talking about was Pete Dunne. Yeah. And then on SmackDown this week, he wrestled Marcel Bartel, Ludwig Kaiser, and he wrestled in his Bruiserweight gear. He was not wearing he was not wearing the
singlet. Okay.
Yeah, he was not wearing the Peaky Blinders gear. He was wrestling in a singlet. And what I could tell you guys, because I actually have some information on this. Almost immediately after Triple H became head of creative, Pete Dunne literally reached out to him and was like, basically like, hey, can I get like my old presentation back? And among his requests was he actually wanted to work Tyler Bate on this show. And that unfortunately didn't happen. That would have made this show like on another level. But yeah, so he's basically transitioning back. I'd imagine he gets his name back eventually.
It's like Kenny Omega, man. You know how like you know how Kenny Omega's like slowly losing you know, like little bits of tape, and he's probably going to come out in all out without the shirt on. It's the same with Pete Dunne.
You know what was indicated to me, because this week a lot of people got their full names back. Riddle became Matt Riddle. Theory became Austin Theory. Angel became Angel. Yeah, he did. Angel became Angel Garza. And a lot of people probably didn't even realize that they shortened his name, because
I had no idea.
Exactly. Yeah, he got shortened to Angel. He got it back. But so those like apparently to Triple H are just automatic, and you don't even have to explain that. But I guess the way that their regime is thinking about like flat out name reversions is that needs to be like a storyline thing. And for whatever reason, and so like I'd expect like a Butch segment where he just kind of yells at Sheamus and is like, "My name is Pete Dunne" or whatever.
My name is not Butch, it's Pete Dunne.
Yeah, I'd expect Butch to get his old name back. I don't know about Walter because I haven't heard anything. And Walter himself seems to just be at peace with the new name. But Pete Dunne, I'd expect his old name back. So that's what I can add about
what's his name? I'm so bad. When Ludwig Kaiser was doing that introduction, to Imperium, when he took that pause before introducing Gunther, I swear he was gonna say Walter.
I thought I was feeling it. I was feeling it coming.
I felt like he was thinking it, like it was on his face. I'm like, hey, he's gonna say Walter.
He
gonna
called
come out as Walter. He's not like no.
They had an interview. The two of them had an interview yesterday with like the media.
But can I be honest before you start your point? Yeah. Low key, Gunther just sounds triumphant. Like when I say his name, I gotta be like Gunther. And you gotta say his name in all caps. Like Walter is Walter, but like Gunther, you gotta say it with like
I remember when I first learned about like Walter's existence like 4 years ago. About like 2018 is when I found out who he was, and I remember. Like I was like, what type of name is Walter? That's so dumb. Like, that was my first reaction, right?
No, same.
Then I saw it spelled in all caps, and I saw how dominant he was, and I was like, no, this is beast. Like this is his name is he's Walter. Like
for a while he was Big Van Walter.
Big Van Walter,
and he was also Big Daddy Walter for a long time as well. So I don't know if we'll get that back.
No, the thing is. The correct pronunciation of Walter makes it better when they literally
Volta.
go Volta. Oh my god! In the match, Walter was like having German ad libs before some knee strikes, and I don't know if anyone noticed, but it literally made my soul leave my body. He was just like 9, yes, 9. Just, like, yes.
I didn't pick up on that. You're gonna have to post the clip.
Yeah, he literally was just screaming like. It sounded like German, like just sounds like at this guy. Like he's just like
Should we
What's up?
Should we get to the main event because we spent 45 minutes talking about conference?
I'd make this whole review talk about
Seth and Riddle.
No,
we haven't got there yet. But the second biggest talking point was probably the main event. Well, the first biggest talking point was probably the main event and the Fury and the Sikoa and
I guess
we'll get into that.
Yeah, but I'm here, so.
Israel, do you want to do?
I've got to go in like 2 minutes.
Oh, that's why you gotta fucking leave. You're running from the grind.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do what King Monty wants, and then
yes,
and
then we'll go back. We'll go back and just kind of go general, right?
Yeah.
Israel, what did you think of the main event overall?
I thought it was really boring. I thought it was really boring, and then Austin Theory came out, and I just busted out laughing, like I almost dropped my phone. And then he got washed by Tyson Fury. That killed me.
It was on screen
but
for
then
like
after
17
that, I'll be
seconds.
honest. After the failed casting, the match did pick up, and it got really exciting. And there were points when I thought Drew was gonna win. And I'm not like that big on Drew, but I feel like it would be exciting if at this setting, especially if he won a match like this. So it's unfortunate because there were so many opportunities where it would have been a finish that made sense, where he could win. And I don't think it would have made Roman look weak. If anything, Roman could also always win back one of the belts, and then we could split him up finally, which would have made sense to me. But it is what it is. I thought Solo's debut was pretty interesting. Didn't expect that. But overall, like it was chill. I'm not particularly big on like either of those guys, so I was just chilling up until it got crazy later on.
Monty, before you go, so to me, when the match started and like the crowd was going the way it was, it genuinely, I know like sometimes sports references for wrestling are like really cliche and corny, like when people but to me it really did feel like a game 7 of a playoff game, in that.
Yeah, the crowd had big fight feel
because the crowd, just like a game 7 of like a basketball game, right? Sometimes like you don't play the exact same way, and like nerves are tight, and like defense is a certain way, and people are missing shots, but the crowd is super into it, and it's like no real dent is made on the other side initially. I felt like in an other setting, what would be considered like slow to me in this match, where they're kind of just feeling kind of not even really doing too much at the beginning, it really just kind of felt appropriate for me personally. In like a Rock Hogan kind of way, where it's just the fans, they're just letting the fans take it all in, get their reactions out, get their chants off. And as they're doing it, Roman's just kind of like feeling Drew out. Drew's doing the same thing, and they're kind of going from there. And I actually was fine with it at that point. And then slowly Drew starts to do some of his signature offense, and it was feeling to me like a really classic territory style championship match. And yeah, surprisingly, like even though the pacing wasn't all that much different from other Roman Reigns matches, I was pretty fine with where it was going. And in the second half, it turned into like the signature WWE style pay-per-view main event, where like there's a lot of moving parts and different elements, and they have a couple tricks that they do to create drama and suspense for false finishes, whether it be like ref bump and then you hit your finisher and then you're going for the pin and the ref isn't there, and then they wake back up and they go 1, 2 and they kick out, things like that. That worked for me. They did the barricade bump. There were 2
barricade bump was
It wasn't as good as the usual ones. I think it was a camera angle, to be honest with you. I think it was a camera angle.
Yeah, he hit the spear real weird, man. And then just kind of fell through it.
It was kind of like he just stood there and he was like, all right, I'm going to spear you through the barricade.
The other WWE main event tricks, people using each other's moves, like Drew doing the spear to Roman. When Roman speared Drew McIntyre, I bit on both spear near falls. So those were well done. Yeah, I thought this was genuinely, actually, quite frankly, by the time they started kind of doing the bouye punches and stuff towards the end, I was like, this is becoming a very good WWE style championship match. And I was ready to give it a very like high rating, to be honest with you. Not like and I was enjoying it. And then the Solo Sikoa thing happened and Drew lost, and it was very much a wet fart. And we'll get into the broader conversation about Drew. But just for the setting, it just kind of felt appropriate for him to win and send these people home happy. And so because he did not, it was just kind of like, wow. So like, all right, like, okay. So that was my thoughts on the actual wrestling aspect of it. What did you think of it, Monty?
It was very drawn out in parts. I completely understand why Israel would find it boring, But like you said, it kind of built up to a pretty good match, to be honest. The finish laid down, I guess. The crowd was obviously great. He gave it that big fight feel. Yeah. It kind of always felt like it would have been right to put the belt on Drew here. But we were talking about it before we went live, but if you're gonna have Roman win, just have him win.
Yeah.
You don't need to. You don't really need to do the solo thing. And I guess they kind of telegraphed it a bit because they were talking about how Roman was on his own, like all night. No Usos, no Heyman to give him advice in the corner. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? Like, so they kind of telegraphed it a bit as the show went on. But yeah, man, I think it would have probably, even though Drew probably would have been the right choice here. I don't know how that would have looked long term, but he probably would have helped them split the belts as well. But I just think Roman probably should have just won straight up, and closed the pay-per-view like that. And obviously the afters with Tyson Fury was it was certainly something, Tyson Fury always does his little singing gimmick after his fights and stuff. I'm not sure if he's ever done it after someone else's fight before. Never mind at the wrestling. It was a weird time, and to what P said earlier about Fury attempted to make his cash in, and as soon as I heard his music, because of where they were in the match, I was like, "This is gonna fail." Like, I don't know how, but this is failing. And before I could even look back up at my TV, it was like Fury's laid him out. He was on TV for about 15 seconds.
Yo, Israel, you're muted. Israel, you're muted.
Okay,
I saw your mouth moving.
My bad. I love when Roman picked up the mic and told Wales to acknowledge him. Because, first of all, it's like cutting a promo in the middle of a match is usually just very cringe. But that crowd was shitting on him. I have not seen a WWE crowd this hard on Roman in years. Since he was a babyface, probably. Like, it's crazy because since he's been a heel, the crowd has liked him more, and especially with his acknowledgement, like they're all for that. But they were like, I think at one point they were chanting like "F you Roman" or whatever else. I know he was hurt.
"Fuck you Roman."
They
They
were doing the whole bridge.
That was the most anti-Roman crowd of his tribal chief run. Actually,
I'm about to say, I think the last time he got two things. I think the last time he got booed like that was like right before Cena came out last year, but it wasn't like all boos, it was some cheers. But and not only that, but like how you mentioned it, Monty, it's like it was so weird because Tyson Fury always does that after his fights, but the big oxymoron of that is that Fury always fucking wins. So he can do that if he wins, but Drew didn't win. So it's like, why are we doing this?
And it's his own fight. He sings after his own fights. He don't like when Billy Joe Saunders has a fight. You don't jump on the mic and start singing then. So it's, I don't know, man. It was certainly a choice.
I was waiting on him to punch Drew in the face.
Yeah.
I sat through that whole nasty ass segment in the hopes that Drew was gonna get punched in the face, and then he ended it like that, like.
It was even weird because it was like, why are these guys all buddy? I know they're in the UK, but like these guys are buddy, and they've been shitting on each other for like the last year on like Twitter and everything. So I'm like, what's going on? But
I'm gonna jump out of here. I'm gonna jump out of here.
Monty, can you answer a quick question?
Yes.
Now I think we're all in agreement that like for this moment and this setting, like Drew probably should have just straight up beat him. There was a Roman's a
sounds
chant.
right.
Jenny, thank you so much for the super chat. I did hear that. That was funny. Monty, as a broad conversation, not about tonight's result, because again, we all agree that in this setting, Drew should have just won if this is what you set up. Is Drew, in your mind, the right guy to be the WWE top babyface holding a championship over, a Cody or Gargano or Kevin Owens or whoever you want to throw in that setting, that spot?
I think the only person I'd outright 1,000,000% put above you, two maybe, is Cody and Owens. Gargano, I probably wouldn't go that far. I think Drew tonight, our friend Manny spoke about it. I think I spoke about it on a podcast earlier in the week or last week, where it was just like, if Drew didn't win this with the build in his home country and stuff, it was like
he's done.
He's done as the top babyface, He can still be. He'll be a main event, and I'm sure he will. He'll have title feuds and stuff. But as the sort of babyface that could topple someone like Roman, I think he's
that ship is sailed.
I said to you in our DMs actually, the Drew McIntyre that beat Brock Lesnar at Mania, I don't think we'll get him to that level again. be honest. So, but he'll still be in the main event, and he'll still be a big player and stuff. Of course, he will use Drew fucking McIntyre, but like I said, in terms of the Drew that beat Brock at Mania, I don't know, man.
I could actually see him being the one who beats Gunther for the IC belt. And that, in the Vince era, that's a massive demotion because there was no effort put into the mid-card championships at all, and they meant nothing, and they were never defended on pay-per-view. But winning that months after Walter reestablishes that as something worth fighting for, is actually, I think, a pretty solid consolation. So that's kind of how I see it. Parker, what do you think about this conversation and that topic, as well as the main event match?
Can I just quickly
slide
out? Let me slide out of it. Same as usual, like, subscribe, send these guys super chats and stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Monty.
See you, Monty.
Bye. All right.
Yeah, in terms of I'd have to think about it because I'm not a weekly WWE viewer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always think a question like this is hard to answer because there's always people that can get super hot just kind of out of nowhere and can become that guy. Like my guess is if you asked this question in 2010, if like Daniel Bryan was ever going to get to that chance, I think most people would say no, for example. But all it takes is just getting over. Like Rusev, completely out of nowhere, Rusev Day became insanely popular. And so, and then I think people like a competent company would have been like, okay, let's put him in world title feuds, because he's so popular. So I don't know, but out of like, if we're just looking at it traditionally, I pretty much agree with Monty. Cody is the number 2 for me. Like it's Roman and Cody, and it's kind of everybody else. And I love Cody. I think he's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So that's fine by me. I'm excited for him to dethrone Roman, who I don't think is good, like at all. So, so I guess we'll see about that. But I just wanted to say quickly, Monty made me remind everybody to send super chats. If you send like a super chat, any donation amount, we will always read what you have to say, unless it's like insane. And we'll probably like
if it's insane, I'll read it.
Talk about it too. If it's insane, we'll read it. Yeah, she's our designated insane reader, so we'll make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
So we got Ro Mickey, we got Ro Mid in the chat. I like saying that.
Ro Mickey and Ro Mid.
I'm gonna throw this up there.
But before you read actual thoughts of the main event, I think it's weird, man, because I think Drew McIntyre is a notably better wrestler than Roman, and yet I think Roman is. This is gonna sound stupid, I guess, to some people, but I think Roman's a way better. I don't know, like star. I don't know what the word would be. I can see what you're saying for sure. He feels like so much more, I guess, big time and like, and where Roman shines.
Can I say something to that?
Sure.
Before you go full blown SA mode.
Yeah.
You get better lighting. Oh my God, like the sun's going down. This is better. Okay.
Yeah, you look great.
Thank you. We're in a new era. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They could put the belt on Sammy tomorrow. And who cares? Who's going to say anything? They put the women's tag belts on Aaliyah, shout out to Aaliyah, Iraqi Queen, and Raquel, whatever. And that came out of nowhere. And it's like, what are you going to do about it? Like,
that was.
I'm just really using that as an example because no one saw that coming. And like, if you think about it, it's like, okay, well, maybe that didn't make as much sense as Dakota Kai and Io Sky winning. But it's like, anything could happen. And it's like, if they're going to try to build like a new identity past, Vince McMahon's reign, I feel like they could just push wherever they want at this point.
Sure.
Like Drew might not be, if you think he's not as much of a star as Roman, maybe that's just because of how he's been built under Vince. But it's like moving forward, it could be something completely different. You know what I mean? I'm not like passionate about Drew, but I just feel like any type of new direction can be a good thing. Or it can stink. But like the point is just like trying, I guess, to make WWE feel different than before.
I think to add context to Parker, because you said you're not a weekly viewer. What has happened in recent weeks on programming is a couple people, an effort's been made to reestablish them and give them momentum again. And there's been a really, really heavy refocusing on Kevin Owens, and he's been presented pretty much like in his 2015 self, because he's wearing that old like tape logo tank top that he had. He had his old Titantron. A few weeks ago, he cut a promo about how like maybe he hasn't really been himself recently, and he spoke about how in the venue that they were at that week's Raw, he said that me and Sami Zayn had one of the greatest main roster matches here ever, like 6 years ago, in reference to their Battleground match. And he was talking about how like people forget that Sami Zayn is one of the greatest wrestlers of his generation, and they're really trying to put in your mind like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are like actually they're not just like funny people on the show, like they're special wrestlers. So
I was gonna say Sammy as well. I watched that 4-way on SmackDown a couple weeks ago. That match was so good, by the way.
Really good.
And Sammy was so over. I was like, I couldn't even believe it. Like I knew he was like a hometown guy, but even beyond that, I was like, wow. Like
he got a
love
crazy reception,
and they would just shower whoever was on offense with booze if it wasn't him. It was pretty remarkable. So I'm always like, it's weird because WWE is their own thing. They're trying to have some sort of massive top superstar like Cena or Roman or The Rock or Hogan or whoever. My thought, like my own personal preference in wrestling is usually, and we got Ezra back, awesome. Is I was just like, whoever's going to be the best wrestler. So that's why last year when in New Japan,
where's she
for
at?
example,
I don't see her.
I may have to put her on.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah,
I do.
Yeah,
got you. My bad. She's there.
I accidentally pressed the leave button. I'm not used to using my phone.
That's hilarious. What were you saying, Parker?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So, like last year, when New Japan had like that snake bitten world title scene where Ibushi got hurt and Ospreay got hurt and all that, and it was just Shingo and Okada at whatever it was. I think it was like Dontaku, maybe something like that. But it was like, and Shingo came out of nowhere to be put in that match. Or no, he was. I can't recall. I think Shingo was originally supposed to be in the match, and then Okada was put in as the replacement, and everybody kind of assumed Okada's just winning the title. They're going to go back to the guy that everybody expects. Shingo is one of the very, very best wrestlers in the world, and Okada is too, but it'd be someone new for that. And so I was like, give it to somebody who's going to be like the best wrestler in your company, and that's Shingo, night in and night out. And they did, and I think everybody was really happy with that decision. And so I'm always just a believer in people like Sami Zayn, who are incredible in-ring wrestlers, and people like Sheamus and Gunther and Rollins and Riddle, who are all just fantastic in-ring competitors. That those are the people you want in your main event scene. And so that's why it's tough. Like Drew is really good, but I don't think he's on the level of any of the people I just mentioned, at least in terms of like a great who's going to put on great matches. And and I agree with you that he's not the star that Roman is either. And so Drew's interesting because like, even though I like him a lot, like I enjoy watching him.
I do too. Yeah.
There's still it feels like so many other people I would put ahead of him, if that makes sense.
Which is why I feel like I'm talking myself into the right spot being like him maybe winning a re-emphasized Intercontinental Championship as a workhorse type of person, having bangers.
I don't know why they don't just split up the world titles and bring back that.
It's a genuine problem.
I don't get it either.
Yeah. They need to. What did I want to say? Honestly, it's why for WWE signing Gargano was a smart decision, because after their series of releases that they've done in the last 2 years, they were very deficient in super workers compared to the past. And it's why, not to take away from him specifically, but like it's why like a lot of television is polluted by a Madcap Moss or for worse people and Omos Theory, guys who just aren't that good at wrestling. Right. And they're taking up television time and therefore taking up significant spots on pay-per-view, and so you're getting less great wrestling matches. Right. And so you're deficient in super workers, and so it's like, damn, who can we even rely on in this promotion to give us really great matches on a regular basis, even on free television? Seth Rollins was someone you can rely on to be really consistently high level at that, even in a WWE setting, but you need more. And so just Gargano being there and being relevant and being in the mix is just a smart signing. For those who don't watch the programming, they're clearly building to him facing Theory for the Money in the Bank. I would presume Yeah. He's gonna
Really?
face the They're gonna have him
I'm
face.
fine with that. That's I mean that's
Exactly.
his first night back on the show. They had him in the Theory in the segment. He basically bitched out Theory the first night.
Yeah. To recap it, Parker.
But
You
didn't
showed
they
up.
used to be in the same thing?
Yeah.
I didn't watch NXT 2.0, but
The Way. The Way. It was called The Way. So to explain, Theory was his protege in NXT.
His son.
His literally basically like his son. And so when Gargano showed up, he cut a promo. He explained why he's back in WWE. Theory interrupts him, and he basically was like, "Hey man, this is crazy. It's like, back in NXT, he was like, I was your son, and now you're in this show where like I'm basically your daddy." And so he kind of said, "Hey man, we should reunite The Way, but this time it's like you're my seed." And so he put his hand out to do like the Way handshake, like the Way high five, and Gargano set up like he was gonna do it, and then he super kicked him and like grabbed the Money in the Bank briefcase. And so awesome angle. So
I might have. The funny thing is, I might have seen that when they did it. Just both of those guys are so relevant.
You're go ahead. No. So your internet was getting shambolic for a second. Go say it again.
What you didn't hear nothing?
I just heard irrelevant.
Oh, that's all I need to hear. Yeah, no. I was saying I might have seen that segment. When I did it because it's ringing a bell. But them two are just so irrelevant to me that I just forgot about it. Like, and that's what Gargano gives me. He's just very forgettable. And I'm gonna get crucified because every time I bring up Johnny Gargano, everyone wants to kill me. I get it. He's your daddy. You can have that, okay? Not everyone is gonna like Johnny Gargano, okay? Some people just don't want to see a freaking kick-out merchant. You know what I mean?
Don't do this,
and that's okay. That should be okay.
Hey man, that slingshot DDT is gas. I can see what you mean, Israel. To me, and I know like not everybody has this mindset. I was kind of over him at points in NXT because it just kind of felt like he was giving me what a lot of other people are just providing the show, but like less cool. I know Parker shaking said like to me, it was like there are other super workers in NXT at the same time that are like cooler than Gargano, in my opinion. And so it was kind of like I just prefer the cooler people. Israel standing Aaliyah while saying this is nasty. That is true. That's
but
insane.
Let me respond to that before.
Yeah.
It's for a good reason.
I'm repping, one of my country women. It's a different situation.
Sure,
if I was to get into the whole Aaliyah thing and talk about it, that's a whole conversation. But it's like I never said that she was like the best wrestler alive. I would never say Gargano is. I
guess for me, it's just like in a Monday Night Raw setting, what he provides me is when he comes on TV, it's like, okay, I'm going to get a really good match, and so it's like, it's just nice to have that, almost not to the same degree, obviously, but it reminds me of late last year when I could always look forward to on every Dynamite, Bryan Danielson wrestling. You know what I mean? It was really genuinely comforting. Like, okay, a Bryan Danielson match. Like, this is gonna be
You'd
great.
love that. You'd love that late 2021 Danielson run. That's like your favorite thing,
dude. It's incredible. It's why he is the wrestler of the year of 2021 without debate.
Should we talk about that again? Do you want to argue about it again?
Not now. Who's wrestler of the year 2021? I wasn't paying attention because
Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan / Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, his match catalog is great, but he was been missing.
Yeah, for just for a little bit, and in the time he was
that's
there,
what I said, but he doesn't listen.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right. So so we talked about the main event. We didn't
get into Rollins Riddle.
Yep, we're gonna do that next. So Rollins defeated Riddle. Match went like 17 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought it was super dramatic. There's really good heat for this one too.
Yeah.
By the way, right before they matched, they announced the attendance being 62,296. You tweeted that you thought that was legit. I disagree. It was not legit. Oh my God, 6-star with the 1999.
Holy
Super chat.
shit!
Thank you, 6-star. What a beast.
Put that
P
up.
and Isra's supremacy. Yeah.
There we go.
P and Isra's supremacy. Hope y'all are having a good day. And then we got like a cool emoji.
Thank you, 6-star.
Thank you, 6-star,
so
much.
I believe in 6-star supremacy.
That's right. I also believe in that. That's crazy.
Was that not the shoot figure, Parker? I'm pretty sure that was a shoot figure. WrestleTix tweeted.
Yeah, whatever, man. I guess we'll see.
No, you didn't see my quote tweet? WrestleTix tweeted it, and it was I'm pretty sure the exact same figure. I was.
Oh,
like,
really?
shook.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll trust
So
you on that
Seth
one.
totally chewed up Matt Riddle. That home. Listen. Wait, are we getting into this or no?
Yeah.
Get into it.
Parker. No, sure. Go ahead, Israel. It's your man's.
Okay, I'm the resident Rollins the writer of WrestleTix, so I feel like I should get first say. This was, years, generations even in the making. Seth Rollins destroying Matt Riddle in front of an audience of how many? Like 800,000 people.
800,000. Sure.
You know what's crazy to me is Riddle. I'm so used to calling him Riddle. He cut some promo about how Seth is, lacking compared to other Shield members currently, and that he's the real loser. And then look what happened. Really quickly before I get into the match, the same way that CM Punk was saying that Mox is third best, and then got his ass beat, there might be a Shield curse. Because then Riddle was talking about Seth is lacking. He's the third best. Same thing that CM Punk was saying about Seth.
We got a donation for your kick out merchant comment. So
thank you.
Yeah, more
Thank
KG.
you.
Oh my God, bro, please.
Go ahead.
Exactly. But yeah, I feel like playing with the Shield, you're playing yourself. It's never gonna work out for you. You might as well be cursed. So it's crazy because when Riddle said that, I was thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, when he loses, this is going to be so much better because there is no third best with the Shield, like respectively at the moment. Like all of them are currently running wrestling apart, like just like how they were when they were together. So I just wanted to get that thought out of the way. But no, I thought the match was really exciting. The beginning had a ton of suspense to it, and it kind of made me anxious to think that maybe Seth wasn't going to win because you never know nowadays. Rollins girls have struggled more than the United States Marines. It's really been a rough year for me. Like there's a lot of PTSD, and I was getting lightheaded. But you know what? Oh my God! Wait! I'm like losing my train of thought. But y'all remember when Seth pedigreed him for real? The way he said it?
Yo, listen.
I still need to rewatch it because that might be the best pedigree Seth ever did.
Yeah,
I'll be act like you're too good for that.
No, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to sound hyperbolic. I thought that was one of the greatest pedigree counters I've ever seen because Riddle was going for a powerbomb on him, right? And the way he smoothly flipped out of the powerbomb and said, no, bitch, and then pedigreed him, I was like, that is like a tremendous counter. Like that's like a New Japan main event level counter straight up in terms of like sequencing and how clean it was. Like just go back and watch it, bro. Like the way he flipped out of that shit and right into his own positioning for a pedigree was so beast. So yeah, continue.
Yeah, that was amazing. And then the curb stomp to the next curb stomp was crazy. Like he literally blacked out. Like all I could think is like, shout out to Tyler, because like he really did black that whole match. I just
that sounds like a Mauro Ranallo commentary bar. Like.
Can I be honest?
You think his name is Tyler the way he blacked out there? Like he would say something like that.
Yeah, no.
Wow. Yeah,
it was awesome. Go ahead.
I thought that was a great match too. I'm a huge Rollins fan. I agree with you. So Hangman, I'm sorry. I don't know if you're like a glutton for like punishment on Twitter or what it is.
He has a humiliation kink.
But, yeah, that's what I figured. But
what happened?
You tweeted, you're like, hey, you're like, so you pushed your glasses up.
Yeah.
And then you said, hey everyone, let's not pretend that Rollins is like a bad worker. He's not an Omega. He's not a Pac, and he's not a Will Ospreay.
He's not a.
But let's not pretend that he's not good. And
your first thing in the chat, you were like Pac.
Well, yes. I was just baffled. I was like, bro. I was like,
and then everyone in the comments was like, yeah, because Seth is better than all three.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah,
getting ratioed left and right.
You tweet that, and they're like,
I didn't expect
to
that.
To offend Stan, that's like us being like, let's not pretend Omega. Let's not pretend Danielson's bad when we've got, he may not be Roman level or Drew McIntyre level.
He may not be Ultimo. He's no Ultimo Dragon or whatever, but he's really good.
It's one of those tweets where like I just kind of said it in like I just thought it said it and I didn't think about it. I checked back and I was like, God damn.
You had a lot of quote tweets.
No, go ahead. Keep tweeting without thinking because it's good. It's good content.
It's really good. It's fun to
it's
talk
really,
about.
You getting chewed up is great content.
I was surprised. And look, you know what? Because here's the thing.
He said I was surprised.
It's so funny about Seth, man, because I feel like He is. He shouldn't be as polarizing as he is. Because
no,
frankly,
and that was what I wanted to say. Was I completely agree
the
with
best
you.
wrestler on the planet.
I wouldn't say that, but
I would say it.
Anybody who believes that he's not good, like I think they're just trying to be edgy.
You compared Seth to a bunch of guys that duck him every day of their life. They scared.
This is not true.
They fear Seth. Your favorite wrestler who you didn't
Neville's
mention in that post.
wrestled
You didn't mention him in that post because you know he fears Seth. So you were like shaking. You're like, I can't bring that guy up.
Oh yeah, no, CM Punk does fear Seth, unfortunately.
No, all them boys, they ducking Seth, and that's
So
tough for them.
Go ahead, work.
So I was just gonna say I agree with you that even though your tweet was baffling, I was like, yeah, no, I completely agree. It's just he is like, I don't know how you could watch him unless you think, I guess if you think he's like just super soulless a little bit, then you could say that, but I don't know, man. Like he consistently, like more often than not, has the best match on WWE pay-per-views.
Right.
He was the guy who made it work pretty much the best out of anybody when Vince has been in charge the last few years and just really laid down the hammer on what people could and couldn't do. He was the one who made it work the best. And this was just another example of that. He was great against Riddle here. Now I've got, this is for me, $5 for the most accurate Hangman impression ever performed. It's perfect. See?
Oh my God.
See? All right, I'll bust that out every once in a while. Thank you, Morkachi.
The way he worded
Peach, relax.
The way he said, he's not Omega, he's not back. You know, he's not.
He's not Omega. And he's not Omega.
And he's not.
It reminds
me,
you,
dude, come on. You don't have to say it.
It reminds you of your when you do dramatic readings of like SRS or other people's tweets sometimes.
Rollins is really good. But he's no Taru from All Japan.
Oh my God,
he's really good.
You know what's so interesting from the match? When
up?
Seth got in his face and he was like, "You're a loser. That's why your wife don't want you. That's why your kids don't want you. That's why you're gonna always be a loser and this and that."
Yeah.
And it looked like at that moment maybe Matt was gonna get like his get back, and then he ended up losing and going out like a bitch.
By the way, the only like un-WWE part of the match to me, other than the fact that like they didn't do a lot of padding at the beginning, was like Riddle brought back his Fisherman Buster, which I haven't seen since NXT, which was so fucking sick. Rollins did the superplex, he's about to do the Falcon Arrow, and Riddle reversed it and Fisherman Busted him right in his dome, which was so beast. What I want to say, Parker, about Seth is, I pointed this out. You know, in the Vince world of WWE wrestling, that's like generally very homogenized and formulaic. It's just harder to have really great matches, especially if you're not like a main event star. But Seth Rollins consistently in that setting where, you know, guys essentially are handcuffed, and you know they're handcuffed because they go to other places and then they wrestle way better. He consistently in this setting was able to have great matches, which, you know, like I began to respect more this year, because, you know, what I came to realize was, I mean, goddamn, bro, last year he made Edge look like $1 million. You know, look at, I mean, Edge is doing better now that he's a babyface, but like parts of this year when Edge was a heel, his work was fucking awful, right? And like fucking awful. And you compare it to like his trilogy with Rollins, where they're having like great WWE style main event style matches. And I was thinking about it, I was like, man, he had the great trilogy with Edge. He had the great trilogy with Cody. At the Royal Rumble, he had the best paced match with Roman. You know,
the match was great. The finish was like garbage, but the match itself was like awesome.
Really good. He literally just showed up and literally just immediately it was like Enziguri 3 topes, fucking drags him back in the ring, like Phoenix Splash, like off rip.
Roman also fears Seth, but I mean, we've been new. This is common knowledge.
Yeah, that is common knowledge.
Yeah, that he fears Seth. Yeah, and I for a while I didn't like, because this new gimmick just wasn't working for me for the longest time, and I think it clouded my view of him as a performer. But either the gimmick got better, or I just started to it kind of grew on me. I don't know what it is.
The gimmick was always great.
I've decided now that I've come around to thinking that Seth is just kind of based, and his matches are really good. His matches are really good. The gimmick is kind of just funny now. Like the fans just sing his song during matches.
So that's my thing.
They sang his song that whole match. Like they didn't let up.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't, like I said, I don't watch weekly, but my thought is like similar to how people, kind of dismisses in-ring work, which again, anybody can like what they like or dislike what they like. But I did feel like the dismissal of the gimmick, at least over the last maybe 9 months or so, was kind of unearned too, because at a certain point the switch flipped and it became like campy. It was supposed to be intentionally
campy. Sure.
And so that's where I'm like, okay, yeah, he's a fucking lunatic. Like he's supposed to be like that. Nobody's supposed to take him seriously. He's there to put over like Cody and Kevin Owens and AJ and whoever else. So that was my thought. I did want to point out this was also the first time I had seen people like talking about it, but I hadn't watched it. The face to face like split promo between Rollins and Riddle, where he's talking about his family, and I was like, all right, okay, this is good. Yeah, I was enjoying it. That was very like essence of wrestling to me, and I enjoyed that quite a bit.
That man was like, hey, Riddle, you still there? Want to talk about my wife?
That was so.
It was so
good. Dude, I love it.
You also heard, actually first you heard was and cut.
Yeah.
Like
still there?
So
still there?
Just still there. Bro, he's in a space that like it was so sassy. Like
I wish you could have heard the way that I literally belted screaming when he said that to Riddle.
Like, and he kept. I said this in the space like he was so sassy. Like, he was like, yeah, bitch, you bitch. And
you know what it gave off to me? It gave off like you sitting in a Modern Warfare 2 lobby. It's like, hey,
oh boy,
your wife and the kids leave you bitch ass. I'm like, all right, bro, what are we doing?
And Riddle's like, where are you? Where the fuck are you?
Where the fuck are you?
Quick thing here. $5 from Bam255019. Great WWE show today. I hope AEW follow WWE with how long their pay-per-views go. 15 matches is too much. I think 8 or 9 would be a perfect amount. Do you guys want to talk about that really quick? I'd be fine.
I want to say a real quick comment to that. So it's funny. I like condensed shorter shows. WWE shows are paced in a way where like they could actually get through these 6 matches in 40 minutes less if they did less padding in between. And so like
there were only 6 matches.
And frankly, sometimes the padding is like annoying. It was not as bad today because I was like having fun with most of the show, but a lot of times like with some of these pay-per-views where the wrestling's just not that good, these 15 to 20 minutes between matches, it's like, bro, just get through this shit, bro. It's why if you were to watch the show on replay, you can get through it in like 40 minutes less. Regarding AEW's 15 is a bit much in my opinion. I know Tony likes to really feature the entire roster and stuff like that. But yeah, it feels like a lot. I was looking at the All Out card. Actually, a lot of people were shitting on the card, and we'll get into it more after we're completely done with the show. A lot of people were shitting on the card, and frankly, when I actually sat down and looked at it, I'm pretty much up for most of it. To be honest with you, like I'm up for most of it. I think most of it's going to just be flat out good. But at the same time, like 15 is a lot, and it might feel like a marathon. And I'm not even saying shave it down to like 5 or something like the takeovers. That's just impossible with AEW. But listen, 10 is healthy. I think 10 is healthy. And some of these people don't need to like once Sammy had his breakdown with Eddie Kingston. You didn't need to force him on the card with in the mixed tag that they have him in, even though that's a 0-hour match. But yeah, that's kind of my feeling on it. I know I actually understand why people kind of roll their eyes at the long AEW pay-per-views. There were a couple I think it was Full Gear, and then maybe this year for a Double or Nothing, where there were points of those shows that I kind of was like, I want to get to the stuff that I care about. But ironically, there are more matches that I care about on this show than other AEW pay-per-views this year that people were more into. But we'll see how that turns out for the actual show. That's just kind of my thing on that.
Yeah, I think it's like I personally don't care all that much. If it's good wrestling, I'm down for it, no matter how much it is. For example, like Forbidden Door had a million matches on it, and I was there in person, and I never got tired once. It was a ton of fun, and I generally have faith that AEW makes that happen. If somehow like a couple of those matches, those 15, I will say there's a comment here. Where was it? For the matches, the pacing is so much different. It's like insane how different it is. 4 of the matches are on 0 hour, which helps. So it's really more like an 11 match show as opposed to a 15 match show. And you don't have to tune in for that first hour because it's not essential. There's not going to be like major storyline developments or anything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, I'm fine pretty much any context. Good wrestling is good wrestling to me. I will say if it's a bad show though, or if the main event goes really long and you've already done like a ton of matches and it's not that great, then it can be kind of a drag. But I think that's interesting.
Real quick before Rob and is weighing on that, where it can hurt is two things actually. Now that I think about it, because this happened, I think, in the middle of Revolution. So sometimes the crowd can get tired. There's very much a real thing there. I had this feeling earlier this year where I kind of preferred Dynamite matches over pay-per-view matches, and I know that sounds insane, but it's because Dynamite matches, the crowd is always so hot for them. You know what I mean? And like they're very condensed, and they're very much just bang bang bang. And so like a great Dynamite match is always just like to me a 4.5-star match that goes 14 minutes. I know like Parker rolls his eyes at the long match whiners, and I'm not one of those, but a 4.5-star match that's 15 minutes is to me way more beast than a 4.5-star match that's like 40. Because I have like ADHD. So you know, to me, just the red hot crowds for Dynamites are so great. And so sometimes at these pay-per-views, it'll be the middle of the show, and the match work wise is excellent. But the crowd is just not like, they just don't have the energy to really react to it because they're either saving it or they just burn themselves out, and that can plague some of these shows. And the other thing is, I think sometimes seeing every type of match under the sun can be awesome, but you know, it can be, I think, overkill in the sense of it's like before we even had the main event, we saw a Falls Count Anywhere match, a ladder match, and a hardcore match, you know, a lucha match, a spot fest, or this or that, and it's like you basically got like 40 years worth of wrestling history and wrestling styles just shot at your face for like 4 hours. And then it's like, now invest in this main event. And oftentimes you're able to, because the main event is great. But for me, I'll be the grandpa and I'll just say like, it's like, oh my God, like, fuck, like it's just kind of dizzying at times. Again, with All Out's card though, I think that there's enough variety in matches that I care about that I think I'll be okay. But it really is one of those things where it's yet to be seen, and you know, different match lengths and match counts. It really just, it depends on the crowd that night, you know, and how it flows. So that's my thing. What do you think, Isra? And you're muted.
It really doesn't make a difference to me. I think in my opinion, I feel like every wrestling show should have its own quirk. Like if this one is going to be high octane and excessive, then let it be that. If this one is going to be a little bit more spaced out, let it be that. But like even within like the same company, like I feel like each WWE pay-per-view, for example, like each one could have a different style or a different type of card and just like play around with things. AEW is still growing, so for all their pay-per-views to be very overstimulating, you know, maybe they'll bring in more fans if they try something out that is a little bit more paced. It doesn't make a difference to me. Like I'm still gonna watch it because that's kind of at this point become AEW's identity. So either you like it or you don't. But either way, it's like it is what it is.
That is their style.
It doesn't really like affect me that much. Like
the more I think about it, that is their style. Just like we do everything, we throw everything at you, and even the Crash TV is not just the TV. It's like Crash everything. You know, it's just like this thing, that thing, this thing, that thing, this thing, that thing.
I thought you was just saying fisting, and I was like, hold on.
No. What's up, Rob?
It's basically, I don't remember who said this, but I know it was somebody in our friend group. But it was one of us who said, it's like it's different. I feel like I don't really have a problem with it at all. And the reason being, it's like when WWE does it, you kind of have a problem with it. Them having like 15, like WrestleMania. What was it? 35 was the one that was in Jersey,
2019. Right?
Yeah, 2019.
It's literally called
like
All Out.
You have like, and you have like 16 matches on the card. Well, then literally 3 or 4 weeks later, you're just gonna have Extreme Rules or something, or like Great Balls of Fire or something like that. And it's like with WWE, I feel like people have a problem with WWE versus AEW doing it. It's because WWE does pay-per-view every month. AEW has a pay-per-view. AEW literally does the old WWE format where they do 3 or 4 shows, 4 shows a year. So it's like out of these 4 shows a year, they're gonna try. All these 4 shows are like feud enders, or either feud starters or feud enders.
Did you know, Rob, that this is Tony's personal reason for why he does it this way? He said this in interviews. Like, he kind of goes like, well, we don't do a lot of pay-per-views a year and people are paying $50. So in my opinion, the best way to give people $50 worth of content is to just give them a lot of content that I think would be good.
No, I will say this.
That's his argument that he gives to people.
Right. Well, I will say this. It's like, yeah, people are paying, and this is no disrespect towards like either of these two guys. It's like people are paying to watch you end the feud, or to watch Hangman versus Punk, or to watch you end this feud that's been going on between Mox and whatever, right? But I'm pretty sure they could have paid the $50 without seeing Kyle versus Darby. Even though it was a good match, it's like that match is not necessarily doesn't need to be on the show.
It was done purely just to get like Darby on the pay-per-view.
It was done. No, it was done. It was also done purely just to stretch the pay-per-view out so they can get past the finals.
Sure. You know what? Here's my thing, Rob. I think the sweet spot for AEW, given the nature of their booking style and roster size and things like that, I think the sweet spot is 3 hours 40 minutes roughly, right, in my opinion. I think for WWE, if they're gonna do 6-match cards, which I'm totally fine with 6-match cards for WWE, I don't need to see a Theory Madcap match or something like that, right? So like just give me the upper tier best performers in WWE and do 6 matches. That's totally fine. If you're gonna do 6 matches for WWE, this show I think was 3 hours. I didn't time it, but
it was a little longer than 3. I think it went over 3.
I would say cut 30 minutes out of that. Just cut the in between time between some of these matches, and like you're good. I think 6 matches, you can get through that in about 2.5, and that's a perfect sweet spot for WWE. So that's kind of my feeling on that. I want to the last really thing I want to touch on regarding Clash of the Castle is this. So the opener was, I guess they're calling themselves Damage Control. Bailey,
Damage Control.
Io Sky, Bailey, and Dakota Kai versus Asuka, Alexa Bliss, and Bianca Belair. To me, I had a couple takeaways watching this. So I just thought like the vibes were off the charts in the sense of like I just enjoy stadium pay-per-views. And I love the energy, the visual of them. The fans were just happy to just be here for this match, and it almost kind of got leeway for a lot of it just because people were just happy to see it. They're happy to see the women that were there, and frankly, Triple H gave them a lot of time. They gave them just a lot of space to just kind of hang out with the match. To me, I think it's cool that they got that time to just kind of wrestle. I thought the match was solid. It was pretty good. Some people look better than others. I think that the obvious highlights for me personally were just the hot tags of Bianca Belair and Asuka. Dakota didn't do much for me. Alexa Bliss didn't look particularly good at all, frankly. Io, I think, is still kind of getting back in rhythm, I guess is what I would say. And Bailey didn't really do much. But at the same time, I almost think that like as the match started, I almost think like this wasn't even it's weird, like not to excuse, but it almost felt like this wasn't even about having like an incredible match. Like to me, it almost like felt like this was just about letting these women just appear and take it all in and open the show and set things off right. And so I thought it was cool in that respect. Bianca Belair was the one who ate the pin. And that's an old wrestling booking trope of champion gets pinned by the person who's going to be the challenger. And so Bailey being the one to pin her was okay with me because she's presumably going to be the person to challenge her, probably at Extreme Rules. What do you guys think in general about these women in this situation being like the top storyline of Raw and just where we go with them and maybe the match and just some of that stuff? I'll go with Parker first.
Yeah, I love the group, and I love the babyface side too. Like my thought coming in, frankly, like I'm happy with everything about this.
Yeah,
except the match just didn't like hit that much. It was just one of those things that was just like that just didn't quite work for me for whatever reason. And I don't know if I can necessarily put my finger on what it was. I will say I agree with you. Alexa was not that good in this match. She's maybe somebody who's become because she was horrible. She was horrible when she started.
Yeah.
And I think when she did go through a lot of improvement, especially when she had that really long title reign, to where I think people kind of almost overrate her now, to where she's like really not that good.
She's like serviceable. She's serviceable.
Yeah, she's like fine. But that means if if you're serviceable, and you're having an off night, then it's a real off night. It's not like if you're Io Sky and you're having an off night, then it's still like pretty good. Yeah. So that's, and the other thing was, I just don't. Bayley's like an awesome talker, and the crowd loves her. Like the fans like adore her.
So into her.
Yeah, even as a heel, they're like, they love to boo her, they love to hate her or whatever. I just don't think she's like that good of a wrestler, personally. I've never really, aside from, she's had great matches with the other horsewomen, especially Sasha, right? Yeah, but it's like, it's because they're great, they're really good, and I've yet to see it with Bayley in that sense. So because she's so popular and like such a good promo, I get why she's in that situation. But what I would have absolutely had either Io or Dakota pin Bianca here, and then, because unless you're going to change the title, which they might, then I don't know why you wouldn't get some mileage out of an Io or a Dakota challenge before Bayley eventually wins the title.
That's a good point. The brief Raw match.
I was thinking the same thing before you start your essay, because this is just a really brief thought.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
My faves from that match was obviously like Io and Asuka.
Will there be an all-out podcast? There will definitely be a podcast Monday wrapping up the weekend, and we'll be talking about All Out.
Yeah, maybe not a post show though. We'll have to see.
Yeah, go ahead, Israel. Thank you for the donation.
So besides Asuka and Io, and every time they would go against each other, I thought Bianca and Dakota Kai were really great together. It really made me want like a singles title match between them two, like before Bayley, because I don't know if they're trying to set up for Bayley taking the belt off of Bianca or not, but like I would personally like to see Bianca versus Dakota, because just from like the glimpses from whenever they would get into the brawls and from this match, I feel like those two would have like a really great match together.
I think it's weird. Again, I didn't think this was a blowaway match, but I just felt positive watching it, in the sense, you know what I mean? Like I just felt positive watching it.
I enjoy all six wrestlers in every act. It just wasn't like a blowaway wrestling match.
The reason why I think is because I just feel like overall, just this direction is a positive direction for the women's division. You know what I mean? And so it's like, focusing on these women, and the fact that they're all so over, and it's the opener of the show, and it's been the A storyline of Raw. It's like, yeah, good for them, and it's a good piece of business, and it's better than like the Divas direction that they were trending in, which was extremely concerning. So I'm just watching it, and I'm like, the whole thing was good for them, and yeah, give them 20 minutes, a good, like fucking good, good shit, right? I wanted to say, when it comes to like you were talking about, like maybe get mileage out of like her facing like the people before Bayley. Io and Bianca had that brief match on Raw that was very promising. And I think a more fleshed out version of that, a more fleshed out version of that on pay-per-view is like a genuinely great match in my opinion. So I wouldn't be opposed straight up to just Io getting that title match. Io's been having, just for those who don't know, Io's been working house show matches with Asuka, because I was told that the direction is going to be Io Asuka, and they're not going to wait for like WrestleMania or like a big. They're just going to go right to that, like really imminently. And so I expect an Io Asuka match probably at Extreme Rules.
Extreme Rules is the next pay-per-view? Yes,
Extreme Rules is the next pay-per-view. I would expect a singles match of those two there. They could do it on Raw. I prefer pay-per-view, just because I'd be more likely to see it. But yeah. So that's kind of the thing there. I think that this overall Bayley stable is pretty cool. I think what's happening very like imminently is either on Monday's Raw, or in the next few weeks is they're gonna get a rematch out of what are the names, Aaliyah and Raquel, and they're already working this whole like, oh, she wasn't the legal person angle, like Dakota wasn't the legal person, which is to me it's bullshit.
Did they say that? Wait, did they say that?
They're pushing. They pushed it on. Dakota literally tweeted about it, and someone I think WWE.
No, but at the end of the match, after she got pinned, she said out loud, "I'm not legal." Like you can see her mouthing it.
Yeah, and I was watching tonight, and they recapped it from Monday, but they didn't. They kind of just said like, "Oh, they won the tag belt," so they didn't make it the point of her being illegal.
What I was gonna say is they're clearly gonna like get just another match out of that, and like so be it. But to me, like that, especially if they just ultimately end up winning, it's just so stupid and a waste of time to do it that way, because it's like you just did that to just like pad this out, and to pad it out after like a dumb finish like that is just like annoying. But whatever. I guess my next thing before we just kind of wrap up on the WWE pay-per-view talk is what do you think is the best way to reintroduce Sasha Banks and Naomi? Do you think it's after the next women's title match? Do you think they should be chasing the women's tag titles, or should they be holding them and Bayley stable chase them? How would you do that?
Well, it can't be on Raw. It can't be on Raw. They have to be on SmackDown.
It could be either brand. The women's tag titles are
I know that, but I don't think they're going to introduce them back into the tag title scene.
You don't think so? Really?
No, I don't.
What do you think, Rob? Like, what's?
I just think I think I would much rather than be in the SmackDown Women's division as a whole, because that division is suffering and it's really bad. It's really they like that division needs to be rehabilitated. Like we talk about it every week, how SmackDown needs to be as a whole needs to be rehabilitated. Yeah, but especially the women's division needs to be rehabilitated, like immensely. Because how many fucking Shotzi versus fucking Raquel matches are we gonna have to sit through on an average weekly fucking basis? Like,
that sounds just fine to me.
Yeah, Parker's like, hey, Shotzi.
It's not. I like a lot of the SmackDown women. I just think there's not enough diversity. I think with the competitors. I don't know, because I'm really big on Shayna. I'm really big on Liv, obviously. Mm-hmm. But like besides them, it's like Charlotte's out of action. Like kind of like the workhorses, I guess, of the women. They're not really like around. It's mostly like the SmackDown women that are still building themselves up, which is great. Like I like to see that kind of platform to like boost them, but it's not as much like superstar women.
Right. Like you look at that 6-man when they first brought them back to SummerSlam. You look at all of them standing off in the ring. And you look at a couple of the other women that they had standing off on Raw in the ring, and you look at that one versus the SmackDown one, bro, and it's like, God damn, like
I don't know what you're referring to, but what I will say is this.
No, I'm talking about the SummerSlam when Io and them came back and they were all standing in the ring. It's like you look at that versus imagine if you had the 6 women on SmackDown stand off, and all you see is stars in the Raw ring. But then when you look on SmackDown, it's like I only know if offhand, Peach, if you didn't ask me, I would only know like 2 of these people.
Peach said, "Never thought I would miss Charlotte Flair, but we need her back." I was just gonna bring that up. Frankly, a lot the solution to a lot of these problems is just Charlotte working with these people, because frankly, even though I think a lot of the SmackDown women are subpar, Israel said that they're just not there yet for some of them, and Charlotte to Parker's point about Bayley, like maybe not having great matches with people that aren't great. I've seen Charlotte have really good matches with people who are just kind of okay, and so like I'm actually okay with Charlotte versus Liv Morgan on pay-per-view, because that's going to be better than Liv Morgan versus someone of comparable skill.
Well, no, Liv Morgan and Shayna Baszler had a really great match tonight or earlier today.
Respectable, but when it comes to Charlotte, in terms of Charlotte, I just think you could throw her against.
I forgot I'm in the straight man. My bad.
No, you know what? Israel, I'll give you this. I didn't give that match a chance. Like when it started,
you didn't, because you are, bro. Listen. Because when you already have like this confirmation bias of I don't Liv bad, Shayna bad, SmackDown women bad, North American women's wrestling bad.
No, Israel, I promise.
Wait, let her.
Because you already came in with a negative mindset.
I'll tell you.
Anyways,
wait, hold on, Rob. Because he's responding to me. I'll say this. Look, that match immediately followed the Gunther match, and I was like, this doesn't have a prayer. Why would you disrespect me by following that with this?
No, I thought that it sucked. I personally would have preferred that Edge and Rey would have been after Walter Gunther. They definitely kind of set the women up with the timing. But I feel like in spite of that,
yeah, Hangman was real pissing me off on the timeline before that match.
No, because
Israel is so smart.
Because why did me and Hangman tweet at like literally the same time? We were like putting Liv on after this.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Go ahead, Parker.
I was just gonna say I thought the match was okay. It was probably slightly above what I thought it would be.
It was really great. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's fine to think that anybody can have their opinion on anything. For Liv, like I don't see it with her. I think we saw the crowd kind of turn on her the last few weeks, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes. They were not a fan of the SummerSlam finish.
They popped for her on the show tonight, though.
They did.
So, Parker, I want to quickly interrupt. You know what's funny? Yesterday she did an interview with, I think it was actually Ariel Helwani. And you know what's funny? So she's talking, and Ariel was like, you know, what do you think about the fans booing you, and what do you think that is? What do you feel about that, right? And she initially kayfabed it. She's like, it's because I gave up, and I think they want to see a fighting champion who, you know, like doesn't just get by. That they want to see a champion that just wins. And then Ariel said, hey. And she's like, what? And she's like, can you shoot with me? Why do you think they started booing you? And it was funny. And she kind of just like, she hesitated and she went, because the SummerSlam finish was really bad. And I was like,
really?
My God. Yeah, she's straight up.
Awesome. Okay.
She's
right.
She's like, the SummerSlam finish was really bad. She said it was terrible. I don't agree with the finish. Like basically it made me look dumb. And I was like,
it did. It was I was like, it was so stupid.
They put her in a really shitty position because working with Ronda Rousey, just to start with, it's like pulling teeth.
It's tricky.
So then on top of that, it's like, how can we not make Ronda Rousey look bad? Okay, well now you're making your champion look bad, which is way worse. Like Ronda can look bad for a night. Like she'll live. She's still gonna be making her money. She's still gonna look tough. So I'm still very bothered by that finish because it just wasn't necessary. Like who came up with this bullshit? Because like why would you try to make your champion look bad? Because if they had just come up with some other finish for SummerSlam, Liv would have looked like more of a formidable opponent for Shayna. Because her versus Shayna, it ended up like looking equal by the end of the match. It seemed like Liv actually had gained enough momentum and been able to like be equal to Shayna and not just completely washed and have a broken arm. But like I don't know, like they just kind of wanted to set her back for whatever reason.
The major issue with the SummerSlam finish is they didn't even do it right. Like a perfect example is like some Brock Undertaker from like 2015. It's like when Undertaker did it, he tapped out at 3. Like when the referee hit 3, he tapped out. Then I
hate that type of stuff in general. Though I gotta be honest.
I hate it.
It doesn't matter.
I hate it too. No, I hate it too. But it's like with this one, they had Liv tap out at like 1.9, like right before the rest. So I'm looking at this like, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing?
Hate that shit.
My thought to answer your question about how to bring Sasha and Naomi back.
Yeah.
I would bring them back separately. I think I would bring them back in the same night but separately because if one's back, they're both back probably. And so like if you bring Naomi back, then it's like, okay, we know Sasha's coming. So there's no like big reveal there. Because Liv has been getting like such mixed reactions, and I think probably the general fan is just not really enjoying this reign. I would have turned her heel and leaned into the fact that the fans are not enjoying it, and then Sasha just debuts one night and just like beats her and just wins the title, and then it's over, and then you can give it time to rehab Liv if you want to do that, because I think she is like likable to a certain extent. Like obviously she got popular for a reason, but just whatever it is right now isn't working. So I think she needs a bit of a reset, and by bringing back Sasha, I think people are going to pretty quickly get over the fact that Liv's not champion anymore, and that this first reign was maybe kind of a miss.
I think
we got a quick message. Damn, I'm late. What'd I miss?
What you missed was I'll do it. What you missed was Sheamus is that guy. He's awesome. Their match.
Hangman hates women.
I love women. I love women. The women's division of Raw is generally looking positive. SmackDown's is muddy because of just the booking of Liv Morgan's title reign, and we kind of got into that. Seth Rollins is
him.
He's him. He's him. You know, he's him. He's him. And yeah, that's pretty much what we generally been talking about. Thank you for the super chat donation. Look, man, I actually don't mind what Sasha does. I just want her doing something interesting, and I want SmackDown to have people involved so that pay-per-view matches don't have the piss break. You know what I mean? I'll be fair.
Like in my opinion, it's like I'm actually gonna first respond to what Parker was saying about Liv's reign. I thought Liv's reign started off shaky, and I'm sure like she would legit say the same thing. But it's like I feel like after today, because if you actually watch the match, without going in thinking, "Oh, Liv bad," like I feel like by the end of it, I feel like
Hangman is so scared of Isra, so he won't say his true feelings about Liv. No, I was pretty honest.
Yeah, I mean, he should be.
I'm not afraid of Israel. I just
should be.
I
feel like can you catch my thought, bro?
Yes, go ahead.
I feel like after today with Liv's championship reign, I think the narrative hopefully is gonna change because we all saw the match. Like she was definitely equal to Shayna, especially like by the end of it. So maybe at this point moving forward, maybe they learned their lesson about the whole bullshit SummerSlam finish, and then the rest of her reign can make a lot more sense. And yes, Hangman does fear me. But he still hates women.
My big thing about SmackDown women's division going forward, and I may have to become a SmackDown stan because going forward, that's like the only show I get to watch now because I'm going to grad school at night. And so
at least Gunther and Sheamus are there. You know?
Yeah, that's true. I got Sheamus. My big thing is like I am such a fan of Sasha Banks that I think it's like farcical that she's never gotten a proper championship reign. Like as like that's like preposterous to even say. Like the fact that she is generally considered to be the best Western women's wrestler of all time, and that she has not had a proper championship reign is like it's pathetic. And so I'm just like, do it. Like there doesn't need to be a chase anymore. Like she's been chasing for 4 years, and she's been champion, but it hasn't been real, right? And so it's like, let's just do it. Let's make Sasha the champion, give her great matches against great opponents. See if she's able.
Roman Reigns treatment.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously, like I guarantee you, she could get something compelling out of not just for me, but for the general public, out of like Shotzi. Like I think they're both like wild enough that they could make that interesting. She could be, a small like underdog babyface against Raquel, something like that, right? Just all these people. She could probably have some really compelling promo segments with Lacey Evans, even potentially, because of the heat that Lacey Evans tends to get.
Sure.
So I think there's so much potential there, and I'm just like tired of waiting for it. It needs to happen like ASAP. Really quickly, we had a comment here. Do y'all think Gable Steveson is finished?
I have insight on this.
He should be. What's your insight?
So, this is mostly reported anyway, but I kind of was tipped off on this a while ago. And unfortunately, Rovert was too, sadly. But so Gable Steveson was supposed to debut like right after Mania, and like the intention was to kind of Brock Lesnar him, and the reason why they didn't was they were going to do that. Gable Steveson, Parker, was supposed to beat up Triple H at WrestleMania. He was supposed to beat up Triple H. They opted against doing that, and because Triple H is apparently medically unclear to even bump, which is crazy.
Fucking
like,
shit.
No, but like when you look at him visually, to me it's weird. Like I know people like when they tell you we can only hope that man's career is done. When you look at Triple H, like I know he's had the health issues, but you just look at him and he looks the way he looks, and so it's almost hard for my brain to accept really that he's done.
He doesn't look any different than when he wrestled like Cena like 4 years ago or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's why.
Wait, go ahead, Hangman first.
Yeah, that's why it's hard for my brain to accept it. But so he's medically unclear to even take a bump, because his I forgot the name of the thing, but there's something in his heart that literally would pop out. So he can't do it. Gable Steveson was supposed to debut after Mania. They were going to do a Gable Steveson Chad Gable program built around amateur wrestling in the springtime, which
Gable versus Gable.
Dude, oh my god! It would have. To be fair, that actually sounds on paper like from a wrestling standpoint competent because Chad Gable's really good and the other guy's an amateur wrestler. But the reason none of this happened was because the reports coming out of camp, because they set up a camp in Minnesota for him to get personal training. And the only other guy this year that's gotten that treatment was Logan Paul, who got his own personal camp set up where he was going to get personal lessons, and he got it from Shane Helms. And we saw how he looked at SummerSlam, right? Gable Steveson got the same treatment, and apparently, like the reports from coaches were this guy is fucking horrible. And like, it's crazy. And like the WWE officials were kind of like, how bad are we talking? Can he be on TV? And they were like, no, like really, really bad. Like you can't put him on TV.
That's fucking
and so then he kind of veered off for a couple months and decided like, let me try to get back to amateur wrestling. And now with the regime change, it was almost like Triple H was kind of like, hey, what's the update on this guy? And so he sought out treatment from Mr. Kennedy. And so he's trying to do that, but there's still not positive reviews. And Triple H is just apparently in production and staff meetings and creative meetings, his name is just not only not come up, it's basically in a list of like, don't mention him. Yeah, which is crazy. So I frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if like they try to quietly while no one's noticing part ways with him. That's more likely than the other thing. And given some of the outside baggage around him, at this point, frankly,
yeah,
you know, like,
he shouldn't be employed by a national like TV wrestling company.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, exactly. So to answer your question, Mason, is he finished? I'm leaning like 65% yes. So that right now, like I said, he's literally doing last ditch efforts to train at wrestling with Ken Anderson. But I think frankly he's done because he's literally on a list of people to just not mention. Like, don't even pitch me ideas from this guy. So that's the deal there.
Which is insane because they wasted, which I know the draft is kayfabe anyways, but they wasted a whole like big announcement for like a last draft pick on that guy, and it's like,
oh yeah,
not even just that, the Triple H thing. Like I knew the Triple H couldn't even do anything physical anymore, and like looking at him a year or 2 years ago versus like today in that wasn't it an Ariel Helwani interview, right?
Yeah.
Like he was just looking at him. He doesn't look skinnier, but he looks kind of like his jaw and like his neck looks like really like smaller.
I don't agree. He looks the same to me.
Yeah, I haven't noticed anything. I didn't watch the interview. I guess I shouldn't speak on that, but yeah.
So that's the deal there. Go ahead.
Yeah. What do you guys want to chat about next week? We kind of made it through.
Yeah,
I actually seen a comment earlier that said that CM Punk fans are like really irritating, and also
like
that Seth fans are really annoying, and I just love that. I think it would be a lot of fun if me and Hangman, not tonight, but one day on Wrestle Pures, had like a debate.
Oh boy!
Like just about Seth and CM Punk, and just watch me chew him up.
You wouldn't chew me up because CM Punk is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time,
and Seth is better. But this is for another. I feel like this would be a conversation for another day. But I'm just teasing it to so they know.
My mental outline, Parker, was to actually discuss some of the rumors and innuendo surrounding what's going to happen in the coming weeks with the Fed that I kind of are privy to, and some of the ones that are circulated already, and then go from there. Just kind of talk about maybe some of the stuff going on with AEW, as well as a quick overview of All Out before we kind of wrap up here.
Sure. Before we move on.
Yeah.
Just to make sure we complete the pay-per-view. We don't need to spend a lot of time on this, but there was the Edge and Mysterio beating Judgment Day.
I totally fucking forgot. Oh my god. I forgot we had a match. Holy shit.
Man. I mean, the match was kind of nothing. It got for most of it, I was going to say. At the end it did get kind of interesting with Edge was just so over. Like the fans just loved him. I think Charlie may have pointed this out, but I think this was Edge's first appearance in the UK or in Europe since in like 13 years or 12 years or however long it's been.
Holy shit, yeah.
So that's a big deal too.
Yeah,
he really gave Edge a mask and basically said "fuck Dom."
That mask was terrible.
It was
that
hilarious.
Mask was so bad. It was like demonic Flamita, but like if you was from like North Dakota or something. That was bad.
It was insane.
And nothing for his son though.
I was so glad.
That's why he turned on him.
Yeah, I was like, as he's walking out, I was like, this is funny, but like if like he wrestles in this, then it's like bad. And so when he did, and I was like, it's
No,
just
see, I wanted him to wrestle in it so bad. I love it when. Come on,
Did
you
Rob
shoulda
get to
given
go
it a
on
shot.
his Dom Mysterio Shaboing Boing yet? Or
No,
or
you know,
Yeah, Dom.
Yeah.
Rob, take the floor. Please talk about Dom Mysterio.
Listen, listen. I know the popular opinion, online is that Dominic Mysterio is really bad, and in ring he's kind of really bad, but
he's really bad at everything.
That this is not. He's better than Punk. This is not.
let him cook. Yeah, better than Punk. Let
No,
him
but
cook.
listen. So tonight, everything seemed like it was going great. He helped his dad beat the Judgment Day, the evil Judgment Day. But then, I noticed something. I was looking at him. He had this look on his face, and all of a sudden, he's talking to Edge, and I don't know what Edge said to him, but he just kicked Edge in the balls. And I was like, So then he looked at his dad, and his dad's like, please, mijo, please, don't, please apologize, don't whatever case may be. And he just hit the nastiest lariat.
Dude,
And I'm telling you, bro,
the low
rocked
blow,
his
that was like his best offense he's ever executed in a wrestling ring.
that's not true.
Oh my
That's not
God.
true. But listen, he hit him like damn, it was damn near burning lariat. Not even gonna lie.
A burning lariat.
But I'm really.
Did you really just compare this guy to Kenta Kobashi?
Yes. But that's not. Listen.
Yeah, he kind of hit a burning hammer, and he also.
I will say, I saw Go Shiozaki hit a go-on lariat today, and I think Dominic's may have been better today.
Oh God. Cook, big bro.
Wait, Rob, I'm gonna cut you real quick. Parker, your tweet on Monday where you screenshotted just the most preposterous angle of Dominic's mullet, and you were like, "How can you tell me this isn't
the mullet is
Dude,
actually,
he's got awesome. People making fun of the mullet, they don't get it. The mullet's the best part about
the
Dominic
mullet is
Mysterio.
goated, nigga.
It's
The mullet is
shambolic.
goated. No, but I am looking forward to this heel turn. I think they're just sending him to NXT. I'm not gonna lie, because what is he gonna feud with his dad now and let his dad have to carry him?
That sounds bad. Parker
Parker
made a good point.
Zion Quinn.
Oh my, yeah, right. And that's gonna get him better. Parker made a good point in the chat where he kind of said it would have been basically it would have been cool if Ray and Edge were going for the tag titles. I'll tell you this, man. As I'm watching the match, I was like, you know what? This nostalgia duo of Ray and Edge is pretty cool.
Yeah, they're fun. And I like them.
Yeah, it's actually fun, dude. Literally the finish itself was sick. Like the whole 619 into the spear, that was sick. And Edge. I'm actually happy for him having this run right now because his work was so bad as a heel and his reputation was in the mud, and he straight up himself protested getting out of Judgment Day because he felt his work being really embarrassing and just taken away from what he was doing, and so he wanted to get away from it because he didn't want the supernatural stuff around him. And so him literally just being an old man, but getting the love from people and just kind of playing the hits. I'm actually watching it just good for you, man. You know what I mean?
Well, he's only really over. He was only really over today because the UK fans don't know any better. But we're not gonna.
All right, we're not doing agendas here. Genuinely, old man Edge is getting cheered.
But wait, isn't this Edge's last year with WWE?
Yeah, he's
I kind of like this little run that he's doing where he's just chilling and having matches and.
Yeah,
not doing that cringy Judgment Day shit.
Yeah. Literally, just be Sting. Not to the same level because Sting is tremendous, but just be Sting. AEW Sting in that just old man in tags that people are just happy to see and they like him. It's funny because for Edge's the peak of Edge's career as a young man, he was a heel and that was his best role. But as an old man, I think we all agree that he's so much better as just an old man babyface. So yeah, good for him. I think.
Well, you know what I will say is. Agendas aside, you are a Dominic stan. Listen, cry. But no, agendas aside, it is very much a clear.
Can I be honest? Okay, you know what? I haven't gotten into my little bit of which wrestlers are for the hoes.
Sure, go into it.
Women really love Edge. Okay,
yeah, I've noticed.
Maybe not the marks. Maybe not the people that are super hardcore. Even then, women love Edge. So he's catering to an audience of people that are nostalgic for him and his career. He's catering to the women that like to look at him because he's a lot of their flavor, not mine, but a lot of women like find him attractive. So I don't know. I feel like he's definitely a wrestler that is like maybe not for like a lot of like hardcore like AEW type of fans, like might not be your flavor, but he's still very generally loved by majority of the audience.
Yeah, Edge was cool.
Which is why they need to just put him in position where people are just happy to just see him and cheer him and pop for his signature moves rather than him forcing you to boo him.
Nobody wants to hate him as like the leader of a supernatural stable in 2022. Like, dude, he was retired for 9 years with cervical neck injury. Like, bro,
I'm just happy that you're wrestling. This guy. Parker, could you imagine, Parker, if Sting randomly was just like just like a fucking heel cult leader, man? Like,
Sting.
Why? Like, just, and not only do that, he does that role, and in his matches, he stops doing like his key things that people like, because that's what happened with Edge. Edge started working like working the arm, brother, in matches.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say. It's like, agendas aside, like you can tell a clear difference from like Backlash when he was in the Judgment Day role and his work and his in-ring work and what he was doing character-wise then versus what he's doing now. You can tell a clear difference.
Like, you know what? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The reason why we were bullying this nigga and we bullied this nigga is we weren't bullying this nigga because we genuinely think the nigga's bad. Edge is one of my favorite WWE guys ever. It's just that like coming out with the purple lighting and then doing all this in-ring work that you can't do and like doing this dumb shit. Like, why are you doing this? What are you doing?
You know what? I compare his performance tonight. Actually, it reminds me of like Randy Orton and RK Bro, where like the workhorse is just doing a lot of the stuff and like he's just building to a hot tag that like he's like ridiculously over for, so like a really high degree, and then he kind of just comes in, does his signature stuff that people are really, really into, and like he's just kind of eating it up. And it actually made me think, like, as Edge was this over, I was like, man, this place would have went like so insane for Randy. Like if Randy just kind of came in and
I thought he was coming out when Seth was like taunting Riddle at the end of that match. I thought we were gonna get voices, but
I didn't even think about that.
That would have been nuts.
Actually, would have been great. Yeah,
I feel like that fucking. Oh wait, what were you gonna say, Parker?
I was just gonna say, like, I think we've spent plenty of time on this match. Final thoughts from me are that I really hope, similar to Sheamus, that we get to utilize Rey to the best of his ability with his time that he has left.
Look at the most recent comment. I'm sorry.
Put it up.
That we need to get a job.
You guys need to get a job.
I have a job.
Yeah, I have it too.
I have a job and I'm in grad school.
Yeah. I like this Israel angle version 17 of the pod. I like this angle. Go ahead, Parker.
I hope that Rey like gets his moments. Like give him a real world title like feud or push or something. Yeah. Let him, because he is still so unbelievably good, and he just doesn't get the opportunity to show it.
Parker, you know how you talked a lot extensively about how Andrade held that Ric Flair tag match together, and whatever. Not to the same degree, obviously, but I thought Rey Mysterio was willing this into being more than just like nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he was single-handedly like no, this is not just gonna be some like just bullshit that whatever. Like I'm gonna make this like I'm gonna try to make this as good as I can, and like he really was working overtime to do that in those final few minutes of the match.
I adore Rey, and I love Lucha Libre, and I want it to be featured in American promotions, and so I hope he gets that. My final thought was Judgment Day is like they're nothing anymore. Like they're like bad. They're a garbage stable right now.
That is the best part about them.
Nobody cares one bit about them, and it's like, and not. But the crazy thing, it is actively. Dame Priest is one of those guys where he was more. Yeah, he was more over last year, but I think that was just because he was like kind of new. But people like Finn and Rhea have both respectively been ridiculously popular and over at points in their careers. And this is like actively detracting from their popularity. And I get they're heels, so they don't need to be like super popular, but nobody takes Judgment Day seriously. They lose all the time. You know, that like they're just so I don't know what the hell they're doing with Judgment Day. I think it just needs to end.
You know what I would say about them, Parker? The coolest thing about them isn't even like they don't even look into it. Like, for example, to me, I think the coolest thing about them is Rhea Ripley kind of being like the alpha of the team and the teases of physicality. But because we don't actually pay them off, nothing like there's nothing redeeming about a lot of what they do, because it's like, okay, if Rhea was teasing something and then flat out, like, let's say gave like Dominic a razor's edge or some shit, or like someone did a move back to her, then this is kind of cool and worthwhile in my opinion.
Or if they did a Rhea Dominic match or something like that,
yeah,
if they actually did something like that.
They need to have okay, I'm not gonna lie, Judgment Day, like being led by Edge. I know you guys didn't like Edge's leadership or the fact that he was doing this like character. It made more sense being led by Edge. So when they turned on him and now it's just these three dweebs, it doesn't hit the same. You know what I mean? And when I say three, actually, let me change my mind, because Rhea's not a dweeb. Rhea's the toughest one out of all of them. Like, she actually looks like she should be the one that's in these matches with the men and not Damian Priest and Finn Balor dork ass. I would much prefer a one-on-one match with, would have preferred, well, now I can't because Dom is a heel, but Dom versus Rhea would have ate.
I've got ready for work, got to go to work, had my first
that nigga.
and I still talking.
No, exactly. My sister is texting me while I'm doing this show. She's like, you guys all sit here listening to this guy talk.
It's hilarious.
That's crazy.
It really is true, and it's not just us; it's the 100+ people listening.
100%. We appreciate all the listeners.
Yeah, niggas cooking you like that. That's crazy.
At the end of the day, I pocket everybody's super chat money, so it's cool.
Okay, so yeah, let's move on. What did you want to talk about next?
So here's the deal, Parker. A lot of rumors circulating what's going on right now. I don't know what the hell Sean Ross Sapp is about to cook with Bray Wyatt. I have.
I've seen it. I've seen it already. I'll tell you.
Is it out? Yeah. Can you read it?
I'll give you. I know. I'll just basically tell you. Summarize it. It's basically.
No. Just read me word for.
You want me to read? You want me to read it word for word?
Read the report.
I get it.
Someone pull it up. I don't.
Hold on. Rob just said "fuck you" in the chat. I got it. Okay. Out of left field offer on the table for Bray Wyatt. Many have been waiting. Also, fuck you, SRS. Many have been waiting for a Bray Wyatt return.
Not my bestie.
At WWE Clash at the Castle.
Okay.
However, we've learned some interesting notes. Let's see.
Oh boy.
Those in WWE that Fightful spoke to believe that a return in WWE is more likely under Triple H than it was under Vince. However, they wouldn't be the only suitor. There is a standing offer from a startup wrestling company for Bray Wyatt to join. It was heavily implied to Fightful that it would be Freddie Prinze Jr.'s eventual wrestling company,
yes,
although not
sir.
explicitly stated. So yes, planned. Prinze wanted Karrion Kross. It didn't happen, and so now we're looking at that.
Is that
Bray,
it? Is that
yeah,
the whole
that's
report?
it. Bray has no
Okay,
interest in
okay.
Impact.
No. Okay, all right. I'm pausing that right there. That was nothing. Like, to be honest with you,
No,
he's
I know.
coming back. He's come back to WWE. That was. I thought this, Parker, the way you were reading that, I thought it was going to end in.
That's
All
why
Elite
I was
Wrestling
trying to,
has.
That's why I was trying to summarize it. That's why I was trying to summarize it.
I thought there was something real there. No. That's nothing. Listen, guys. Bray Wyatt's coming back to WWE. He's coming back. Braun Strowman's coming back. Sasha and Naomi are coming back. What the fuck else? There's a couple other names that have been talked
Still not
about.
sure Sasha and Naomi are coming back, but we'll see.
All right, so I guess here's my question to you guys. I'm going to just rapid fire with everybody and let you guys just kind of cook with this before we kind of get to AEW stuff. Though I'm going to take out Sasha
I
and
would
Naomi.
hate to do this because I know that everyone in here will miss me.
No.
I'll miss you guys too.
no.
You'll be in my hearts,
Oh,
but
no.
I gotta bounce.
Oh no.
I had a lot of fun. Shout out to Monty, who invited me to be here today. He's doing a fantastic job running Wrestle Pures, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. Parker, you're doing a good job hosting. Hangman, you're definitely doing a job. And Rob, I wish you the best in this journey with Dominic Mysterio, because it's gonna be rough.
Thank you.
The show was great. I had a lot of fun. Before I leave, send me the flaming heart emojis. Send me super chats.
Yeah, send us super chats if you're an Isra fan. Her appearances are a direct function of how many super chats we get. So
absolutely, and it was great to have you back. So your first experience was so dope.
I'll be preparing for our Seth Rollins CM Junk debate. Where I'll completely chew you up and spit you out and make you look bad in front of your baby, because I know he's gonna be really disappointed in you when you let him down.
He won't, because he's one of the best ever, and I understand why he's one of the best ever, and I'm going to voice that in front of you, and you're gonna have no response.
I may have to moderate because I'm a huge fan of both.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. In fact, you wouldn't be moderating it; you would be the referee, because it's gonna be a fight.
Oh boy.
Love you guys, everyone in the chat. Follow me on Twitter at Rollins. It's on my screen name. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun stuff coming up with Wrestle Pures, with content with me specifically.
Do you have any announcements to give us, Isra?
Yes. What was that?
Okay. I said, do you have any announcements for us?
Not yet, but follow me on Twitter, and I will announce everything as it comes, because me and Monty are still in talks. We have a few ideas that we're bouncing around. Huh?
Creative discussions.
Yes. So just know that we're going to be cooking, and it's going to be great. So just keep your eyes open. Mm-hmm. And yeah, thank you so much.
Claps for Isra.
Let's go.
Isra, thank you. Appreciate you. Take care. Okay, so Parker, here's the deal. How
you feel about this comment, real quick?
I seriously don't think AEW would push Bray like he deserves.
I seriously don't think AEW would sign Bray. But anyways,
they wouldn't sign him. Tony Khan is not. He's not.
That was facetious. I don't think he deserves any push at all, personally.
I was going to do have to address it. Yeah, so here's my thing. It's funny actually about that, Parker, because I had a conversation with Monty. Bray's one of those people that, depending on what fan you are, your view of him is totally different. Yeah, because sure. Like certain WWE fans think he's a superstar and they would love to have him back, and I actually understand that. And in that setting, I get it, because he was such a big money maker. But depending on what you want out of wrestling, and especially if you're an AEW fan, the majority of AEW fans do not want him on their product. No. So it's really interesting, and it's also why for him, because I actually do like him, even though I don't love a lot of his work. I think it just makes sense for him to just go back to the place where he was at, rather than try to figure it out in AEW, where just the setting wouldn't work for him. My general question to you guys is this: I'm gonna take Naomi and Sasha out of the way, because I think that we're all in agreement that they would help the product when they come back, right? In regards to Braun and Bray, and I feel like there's another name I said, I can't remember. I can't remember who else I said, but yeah, I guess between both of those two, who, because they're both kind of dubious names, who benefits today's WWE product more upon return?
In terms of money, I think it would be Bray. If I was just trying to make money, I would just bring back Bray, do the Fiend. Don't make it Vince having a heavy, obviously, input on the Fiend like it was before. Just let Bray be kind of wacky, and then rely on your writers to help him out. And I think that is easily enough to be a main event, semi-main event type of guy in WWE. Personally, I like Braun. I think he improved. You and I are kind of on the same wavelength as far as Braun, in that he got to be a pretty entertaining guy. By the end of his run, he was always kind of charismatic isn't the right word, but people just really liked him as a big athletic monster. And then towards the end, he really did start to have some really compelling in-ring stuff, especially that three-way with was it Lashley and McIntyre and Drew. So that match was a ton of fun. It was in the Thunderdome, so it was tough to have a match like that in that circumstance. So I personally, in terms of entertainment, I actually thought AEW should have given Braun a chance, because there's nobody like him on the roster. I agree. So it's just a matter of his personality, because sometimes he's clearly kind of a self-driven guy who has, he wants to have creative control, and he wants to make a certain amount of money and be positioned a certain way. So with all that being said, I could see it both ways. I would enjoy Braun being signed. I'd be good for WWE. That's great.
Yeah. What do you think, Rob?
I think the same thing. I think my personal favorite version of Braun was the 3 best matches I think he's ever had was that 3-way last year, the one at Fastlane against Roman, and the one against Roman at Great Balls in the ambulance match. So I think like his best work he's ever done was like right before they killed his push the first time with the Lesnar match. I think if you just bring him back like that and don't, I mean, obviously, I don't know how they're going to do that because they've humanized him on WWE TV to a point, but I do think that he for WWE standards, he's a good talent, and I think that he'll help in some sort of way moving forward, especially knowing that CYM was such a big fucking failure. And then there's going to be a guy, I think it's probably going to be Rollins, but there's going to be a guy that's going to make that control your narrative joke, which sucks. But yeah,
I was so disappointed when they canceled Control Your Narrative because
I was going to go.
I was gonna go too. They were coming to Des Moines. I was gonna get front row seats to CYN, and I wanted to see EC3, and I wanted to see Flip fucking Gordon and Cross and Scarlett and whoever the fuck else. I wanted to do garbage. I wanted to do the scream at him meet and greet, and I'd just be like, hey, I don't know why you guys are doing this. This is kind of weird. Don't do this anymore. Thank you for
it's hilarious. It's just hilarious. I actually to suck my own cock, frankly. Someone tweeted about CYN like maybe a month ago, and about like is CYN closing up? And I just tweeted, I said Paul Levesque is signing Braun Strowman and Karrion Kross, and that's what's happening because I actually knew something about that. Regarding Braun, yeah, Parker, it's crazy. Look, people are really down on this guy, and I get like not liking him as a person because he says a lot of stupid things. Like he's very anti.
He's clearly just like kind of a dipshit.
And, like he's a dumb guy. He just doesn't get indie wrestling, and he's clearly been like indoctrinated to the type of
you guys don't like me because I don't do 1,000 super kicks.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's indoctrinated into just the type of thinking to where you have to hate independent wrestlers, you have to hate spot oriented people and things like that. I mean, look, he came through the WWE system. I'm sure there's just been guys in his ears like Mark bullshit, Spotty bullshit,
the fuck is Trey Baxter?
Exactly. So clearly that's just his mindset, and like to me, objectively that's just incorrect and dumb. But really, these type of things don't factor into how I watch wrestling when I'm just watching the wrestling itself. Like I don't watch. I'm not gonna watch Braun and be like, that was pretty good, but man, he doesn't like indie wrestlers, man. Fuck. I don't like. I
give a shit.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like there's so many wrestlers that I like that have like stupid opinions on things. And I'm not even getting into political. I'm just talking about stupid opinions on anything. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Braun, people are really down on him. I remember when he got fired, I tweeted out like, I wasn't even saying like AEW should jump at him, but I was just, all I said was like, if they did sign him, I'm not gonna cry about it, and I think they could probably figure out something kind of cool with him, because like you said, by the end he started to be very competent in the ring, and because WWE loves their big men, they're gonna plug them into main event settings, and he was the one that can actually have competent matches with their top wrestlers compared to other people. And look, Dave Meltzer said that when they fired him, it was because, at the price that they were paying him, Vince didn't see it anymore, especially since they had someone like Omos and Aziz. And we've seen in the last year, Omos and Aziz can't hold a candle this guy.
There's such a gap between them. It's
massive,
crazy,
massive gap. Omos can't even have a competent match with another guy in a single setting. We saw that the Lashley matches were a struggle in the sense that like, there's the freak show appeal of like, wow, big man versus even bigger man. Whoa. But like beyond that, there just wasn't enough substance there to be anything.
You can't even conceive of Omos or Aziz having a match as good as the 3-way.
No, not at all. Braun, think about this. Omos can't even bump for people.
Yeah. I think Brian Alvarez made a really good point about this. I don't know if you recall this, but he's been such a critic of Omos specifically.
Yeah. He's the loudest, most vocal Omos hater in wrestling.
Yeah, and his point is that like it doesn't matter how fucking big you are if you're not physically imposing in terms of like how you move around. And Omos is not, Aziz is not. Braun is extremely physically imposing in how he moves around. Mobile. And so
that's
I think that's
bro, in his last match, he did a senton off the apron. Like, what the, like
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was crazy too. That was
man,
Lashley or Drew take that? I can't recall.
I don't even remember, bro. Just like you're watching fucking like watch that 3-way and watch him catch Drew into the power bomb through the table or whatever. And it's like you're watching Commander Aziz versus Omos, and you're like, neither of these niggas are brawn at all.
No. You know what's funny? WWE is historically considered the land of the giants, and like when AEW started, like there were jokes of like all petite wrestling and like it's just a bunch of small guys flipping around and stuff. But AEW actually has like the most diverse and talented cast of big men currently, in my opinion. And so I don't know if Parker, like his camera froze or something. Oh no, there he is. Anyway, but yeah,
I was looking at my phone.
No. It was weird. You were so stationary. I thought you froze. It was hilarious. But yeah, no. So the thing is, AEW right now actually has the most diverse and talented cast of big men. And there was a period where their big men were essentially used as guys who killed everybody underneath them, and then would be served over to put over the baby faces that were being pushed. And you could debate over whether that's the right way to use a big man, but it worked in helping people like Hangman Page and stuff like that. I think WWE actually needs someone like that right now. And so like the way I envision Braun personally is like he kills the jobbers, he kills the mid-carders, but you plug him into a TV main event against someone you're trying to get over. Like to me, in my just in my head right now, tomorrow's main event for NXT is Tyler Bate and Braun Breaker. Both guys who look like $1 million picking up and slamming Braun Strowman.
For sure.
Whether it's Braun Breaker doing the gorilla press power slam, or Tyler Bate, they call him a big strong boy, literally deadlifting him. That's like star making shit in my opinion. So like I think Braun is effective as a tool to use in that way. Regarding Bray Wyatt, like I said, I actually like him as a person. I sympathize with him a little bit, and I don't love everything he does because he just tries everything, and I don't know how much of that was just Vince influence and how much is just his crazy ideas.
It's so hard to say. It's so hard to say with him. And I'm sorry, I'm interrupting a little bit.
No, you're fine.
But like, Bray's so interesting because I was so excited when he was in NXT, and then when he debuted on the main roster with the Wyatt family and Luke Harper and
really
Eric
cool
Rowan
concept.
And I was like, oh man, this is like a cool, like an actual like cool fun gimmick, and not just like something stupid. And then they immediately turned it supernatural. It wasn't always supposed to be supernatural. He was just like a Southern Gothic type guy, which is also like kind of his upbringing, which makes sense too. So that I mean that was cool. And then even the Fiend, like I joked about it like a month or two ago that I just on a whim watched his debut as the Fiend against Finn, and like
it got over big.
That was like, it was awesome. It was really cool. Like the mask was like so striking, and the way he moved and was just squashed a big star in Finn Balor. It was like a big deal. And so, but then again, you just keep turning back to the supernatural like bullshit that for me as a fan just like kills my interest. Like I don't care about in WWE. I don't care about Judgment Day. I don't care about the fucking House of Black. I don't care about anything. I don't care about anything along those lines. Like
what's crazy though, Parker? So spooky stuff in wrestling, like it's funny. No matter it's tried a lot just because of how successful Undertaker is. I think. But I think that's the reason why people try it, because he's so over. It's funny how rarely it works. But ironically for me, I think because of Bray's oratory skills, he makes a lot of like, because to me, I think a lot of the problems with spooky like promos is just like it just sounds so stupid and like goofy and like cosplay. And yet Bray, the way he talks, he made a lot of what should be just straight up garbled nonsense sound at least kind of cool. And so Bray actually, for me, made supernatural stuff work for a period until like he just became a joke. And then with the Fiend, that was like hit or miss, and ultimately like a miss towards the end.
And they both had like, both of his gimmicks had one defining horrendous moment that just killed it, which was the Mania match with like all the worms and bugs on the ring.
God, he was done after that.
And then Hell in a Cell against Seth, Rollins, where Seth beat the shit out of him so bad that he couldn't move, even though he debuted like 2 months prior as the Fiend. Like, so I don't know, maybe I'm being too forgiving because there was some really bad shit in both of those gimmicks, but at the same time, I think you and I are on the same page that we both kind of appreciate Wyndham's like creative, creative mind, and the fact that he's like actually trying to do something interesting beyond just being like a good wrestler. I'm down for that.
Yeah,
I said it like go ahead. I said like during the rumors of him coming to AEW, it's like I was never really the biggest fan of him in ring, but it's just like if he were to go back to either company, I would love to see him in a creative role. Him just like because he has really good ideas. He has obviously is a great mind for the business, but just like that Rollins match, I think just really killed it for everybody. Where he just kept getting hit with shit, and it was just like he didn't get the ref stopped a Hell in a Cell match because he kept getting hit with so much shit.
It's like
but then
one of the worst matches in WWE history.
It's awful.
Terrible. It's awful. Like and he just got right back up 30 seconds later. So it's
really
like,
really bad stuff. Real quick, I want to try to wrap this up in the next 20 minutes. I want to touch on this real quick. So, there have been reports circulating about Malachi Black, and the initial people voicing them were sources that are just not as credited as others. So people didn't really know what was true, what wasn't true, what to believe and what not to believe. But since then, we had a report from Raj Giri, and it was corroborated and elaborated on by Mike Johnson, the PW Insider, and I actually added some of my insight in between both of these reports, and I actually spoke to someone in AEW a few nights ago about the situation. But to summarize, what we know about Malachi Black right now is that he asked for his release, and it wasn't granted to him, and he has not been satisfied creatively, and he is going through stuff personally, and so he's just, I guess, not having a great time right now. And so that's what we know about that. It's he's not getting his release granted, and it was kind of expressed to me, Parker, that we're not doing it because we're trying to work it out, and we're in the process of working it out with him. The details of why he's dissatisfied creatively aren't fully known. But what I can add to you guys, to what I can inform you guys is he iterated a lot throughout this year, like to, anyone that would listen is, I am a singles wrestler. I am a singles wrestler. I am a singles wrestler. So, take that however you want to take it, but he just kept iterating that. We know that he had a back injury early this year. So, I mean, that obviously had to hinder some of what he was doing when it comes to his presentation. But ultimately, I'm not going to speak on the mental aspect of what he's dealing with because, frankly, that's presumptive, and I'm not even interested in touching on that because I don't know this person. He wanted his release. It wasn't granted. I think AEW want to keep him, and they just want to, they don't want to just surrender a guy of that level to WWE, and so they are just opting to not let him go, and so that's the situation there. He's going to wrestle it all out in a trios match with the rest of the House of Black against Darby Allin, Sting, and Miro. What happens after that, I don't know. He did post a Tumblr entry. I don't know if you guys have seen the Tumblr entry. It was very striking. Did you see this, Parker? The Tumblr?
No, I didn't.
Okay, Rob, did you see it before? Just yes or no?
Oh, no, I didn't see it.
So for those that don't know, Malachi, he posts on his Tumblr when he wants to kind of vent about his personal life and or professional life in a vague way that not too many people see it. It's almost like having a burner that some people know about, but some don't. Which is, so that's the thing there. This is what he said on his Tumblr. He said, and I quote, 3 days ago now, 2 years of this. Sometimes it feels like all of it will be to no end, nor have any real meaning when it's all over and done. It's strange to think things in your life will be a memory with no attachments anymore, while they were once the most important thing in your life. It truly feels like the entire journey happened for the sake of happening. That was his statement. So that's just something I felt that was worth mentioning when talking about this topic. But what do you make of the situation, and what do you think AEW should do, Parker, in regards to Malachi Black?
Yeah, so I guess the thing I want to get out of the way, like before anything else, is that it's like complete bullshit that any employer would keep somebody employed after they officially like requested their release. Like that's just like bad morals. That's scummy. Like I don't buy that it's business and that he signed the contract. It's not an equal relationship between the employee and the employer, like the contractor and the contractee, right? So all that stuff is like that's like bullshit to me. Like, there's no reason that Malachi Black should be employed right now. If he officially requested his release, then you grant that, just on a human level.
Okay.
That's the exact same thing we did when we talked about why, and it's different because I imagine TK isn't going to like do the legal loophole where he extends people's contracts because he can do that based on time missed or something like that. But at the same time, it's still practically just as bad as what WWE was doing with Pac, with Luke Harper, Brody Lee, right? And so I really hate that, and it's really disappointing because I am such an AW fan. Same with like Gresham, right? Gresham's done the same thing.
His release request has not been granted.
Yeah, that's like bullshit. And I'm pretty. If there's one thing I say, everything we've talked about is like wrestling opinions so far. But this is like for real, right? Yeah, this is serious. Like if somehow TK heard this, like he needs to know. This is bullshit. You need to release these people on a human level. You need to give them the freedom to live their life how they choose to live it. Your TV show is not worth this type of harmful like actions towards your employees. This just general like bad vibes around what you're doing, and it's just the right thing to do is to release them. So
Parker,
I just want to get that off.
Parker, what if now? I'm not saying like I just devil's advocate.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Devil's advocate. If Malachi came in and just kind of threw that at Tony, right? And Tony was like, wait, whoa, what's going on here? And then he heard him out and then said, okay, wait, hold on. Can we work on maybe like basically help me help you type of thing? Do you approve of that? Or
yeah. So I assume it's more complicated than just Malachi has demanded.
Get me the
his
fuck
release.
Out of here.
Yeah, and that is kind of what Gresham is, from my understanding.
Yeah, Gresham is a gift. I just want to go. Yeah, I want to go.
Gresham's like I just let me go, please.
Yes.
And that's bullshit. So I get it. Like I get it. And you would do this in any job. If I went to I'm a teacher. If I went to my principal and I was like, hey, listen, I think I'm going to apply to jobs at other schools in the district for next year. How do you feel about that? What my principal would do is he would say, okay, I'm going to look around and see what we can do to make you happy here first before I grant you any, the permission to do that. And then we're going to make that happen.
Yeah.
I assume like it would just depend on how forceful I am. If I'm like I hate at this school and I will not be working here next year, then there's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quit. But if there's but I still have to write out the length of my contract because teachers are contracted too. Their contracts work for the school year. So it's actually not that dissimilar. But so I understand if that's Malachi's situation, then I understand TK being like, let's work this out, because I think Malachi's extremely valuable. That's the other big difference is I don't think Gresham was going to be super valuable to AEW or Ring of Honor, whereas I do think Malachi can be. So I get it in that sense, but at the same time, if it gets to a couple weeks later and Malachi is still adamant, fuck this, I need to leave, then it's like you just have to. It's just the right thing to do.
That's where I agree with you. I think that I think it's fair for Tony to not want to just completely surrender a talent of his level, and so I think it's fair to say, hey, how can we, alter the situation to where you no longer feel this way? And to me, it's like if even past that, he's just like, I'm just not feeling it, bro. I just want to go. Then you got to let him go. Whatever it is, I would immediately make a creative plan and just be like, all right, listen, we'll wrap this up storyline wise next week or the week after, whatever we got to do, and I'll terminate your deal and so on, so long.
And that's another way to sort of artificially extend it too. Like if you want to book that, if your person is not happy, then say, especially if they're in a program, then you say, okay, let's give it a couple weeks or a month to finish the program in a nice, neat way. And most wrestlers will be amenable to that.
Yeah. Best example, Parker, was Adam Cole. Adam Cole.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
He fully intended to go to AEW for a while, but and his contract ended in like June of 2021. And yet he straight up told him like, no, I know I'm in the O'Reilly thing, so I will gladly just finish that stuff up with O'Reilly and then do the honors and then leave. And that's what he did. He worked in NXT for an additional 2 months with no contract, just purely, out of professionalism and to just finish up what he was doing.
And if that had been the moment that Triple H like gained power, there's probably a decent chance that he doesn't come to AEW.
Yes.
So that's why that's like I think that's a fair business practice. That's like the extent of it though. Like if it's anything beyond that, no, you just got to let him go.
Yeah. What do you think, Rob?
I'll agree. I do agree with what Parker said, and versus what you said, and the fact that I feel like if it's a thing where he just like wants to leave, like Gresham does, I just feel like just let him go. You know what I mean? Just like it doesn't. But like you said, if they sat down and was like, "All right, help me figure out what I can do for you," and they came to a mutual agreement, and then that's why he denied it, then that's fine too. But I do agree with Malachi in the fact that not that I don't like the Kings of the Black Throne, because I like them as a tag team, but it's just like I've always seen Malachi, and the stuff that I've seen most from him was him as a singles guy. So
that thing to me is odd. The thing about him being a singles wrestler, because the Kings of the Black Throne thing like started in PWG.
Yeah,
I don't know if and that's like pretty wrestler directed from what I understand. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that was like.
Can I clarify something, Parker?
Yeah.
So he very much likes the concept of the House of Black as a group. He has no problem, to my knowledge, there's no issue with that. When he's saying I'm a singles wrestler, I think what he means is like, don't frame it to where I'm just in a permanent trios and tag box. I am a singles wrestler in a stable with these people, if that makes sense. So
that makes sense.
The way like Jericho in the Jericho Appreciation Society isn't a trios wrestler or a tag wrestler. He's a leader of a stable, you know. So I think it's that type of thing. So that's just kind of what I meant. Yeah. What else did I want to touch on? Do you guys have anything you want to say about Babyface before we quickly talk about All Out? Is there anything
you are grown? You're a grown man. You're a grown man, bro.
Good luck with whatever you do next, Bobby. Don't know about your future prospects, but you had it pretty good. You're in the one thing that you ever did in wrestling, which is Red Dragon and the Undisputed Era. And you gave it up because you're going somewhere else. So we'll see.
Good luck with that 24/7 title, Bobby.
I gotta say this. Usually when a wrestler just chooses to just change directions or leave places, I don't care because they are grown and entitled to whatever career decision they want. You know, I'm easier with that with wrestling than I am with sports. Frankly, like I'll admit I am immature sometimes when it comes to sports. Like, who the fuck did he leave that team? You ran from the grind. Well, wrestling, it's like when people are like, I want to go to this promotion, I want to go back. I actually don't get like other people. Like I don't get like passionately upset about it. But in the case of this situation, because of how it all happened, it is admittedly upsetting and frustrating. Because it's just like, you know, it felt like, okay, we're pausing the Undisputed Era versus Elite stuff until Kenny's back. Kenny is now back, and it's like he's kind of acting strange these last few weeks, and then he just leaves, and it just feels like a lot of time was wasted, and now like a lot of plans are kind of fucked up, and so it's just annoying as a fan to see that, and then also I just don't really understand the thinking much, because here's what I can tell you guys straight up. I'll say this live on Wrestle Purist. Bobby Fish tried to convince Adam Cole and Kyle to go with him to WWE.
Yeah.
And it was during that whole tampering period because, yes, Triple H and or WWE officials in the talent relations department have been reaching out to people in AEW. And so, you know, there's a whole host of people that were reached out to. And so, frankly, yeah, Bobby wanted to bring the Undisputed WWE. Adam Cole likes Triple H, very much so. But at the same time, he loves the Young Bucks. He's happy where he's at. And he knows he has a lot of unfinished business. And he does not believe in making a contractual agreement and just reversing it and trying to get out of it within a year. And so that's the reason why he's not leaving. It's just like, bro, I signed a contract. I love the Bucks. I have stuff to do. I'm just, it's just not in the cards right now, you know? And so that's kind of his thing. And so because his feet are planted, like O'Reilly's feet are going to be planted. And so what shocked me was, Parker, I found out about that weeks ago, and I thought, okay, Bobby wanted to go. They didn't go for it, so he's just not going to go. I didn't think like that he was going to be like, hey, guys, we out? And they're like, no. And he's like, well, I'm still leaving. Like, I didn't like that. I was like,
that was insane to me. Like, and just like the tweeting about Punk was like so
that
weird.
Was like, weird. That
bro,
was
you know how we're in the group chat and I say wrestlers are insane about once every 2 days, and that was like a prime example. Like, dude, you have been in one overact your entire career, and you're 45, 46.
45.
Yeah, 45. So, and what do you think your future prospects are? Like, what is the plan, dude? What were you thinking?
It blows my mind, and I can also tell you guys this: Roderick Strong is going to get called up to SmackDown, and to me, I think throwing Bobby on him would be like an anchor at this point, rather than like something to help him. I think like if you tag them, that would only be good for Bobby, not for Roddy. I think like Roddy right now, and actually I gotta say this, I gotta admit here, not to sound like a Fed head, but after watching Gunther and Sheamus, Roderick on SmackDown in the same brand as those guys is like pretty exciting on paper, to be honest with you.
But this is the thing, though.
But yeah, I don't get it. I don't know what he sees, I guess, in the other side, unless he's just totally at peace with like, I'll just be a trainer for Triple H. Like, and if you really would rather do that than work for AEW, that's crazy to me. Like that's your prerogative. That's crazy to me personally. That just sounds insane.
It's fucking lame.
I just don't get it, because like Undisputed Era just did their big angle where they turned on the Bucks, and it was just like it was just happenstance that both Cole and O'Reilly were injured.
Yeah.
And so like they were gonna do, like, you were gonna be in a main event level program.
Yeah, bro. And not even that, like they could literally, like, they're, and now I wouldn't call it one of the best tag team in the world, but they're one of the best tag divisions in the world. And they could have gotten an opportunity to go back to New Japan and get like a, another junior heavyweight tag title, another tag title from New Japan. It's like you can do all these things, but you give it up to either go attempt to be United States champion, even though nobody sees you.
It's not going to happen. He's
right.
Not
I'm about to say, like, you can attempt to win that, or you can. No, I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying attempt to try to be a U.S. champion or just be a fucking trainer. Like, that's fucking lame as shit.
Yeah,
it blows my mind. Yeah, it blows my mind. It really, and the last thing I'll say, Parker, is there's guys in AEW's roster that were really successful in NXT that, like, frankly, if they opted to switch sides, even though it would disappoint and frustrate me, I would at least get it in the sense that, like, well, yeah, Triple H is gonna probably give this guy like the rocket.
Right.
Like for example, if Malachi and or Andrade switched over, he pushed.
Yeah, I was thinking like Murphy or Matthews.
Sure. Those people, yeah. But like Bobby, even if Triple H likes him, like I don't see that in any way. Like no. I just don't see it. So it blows my mind. Guys, what's up?
Well, I completely forgot now. You continue. You're good.
Sure. Guys, tomorrow is All Out. It's in Chicago. Really exciting stuff. CM Punk is main eventing the show, and he's going to take on Jon Moxley and try to win that title back. I've seen a lot of just polarizing and split opinion about Punk lately, which as a Punk dick rider, it makes me kind of sad. Because he's so good, man. He's so fucking good. Like, and Park, what's crazy? It's really saddening seeing like AEW fans kind of like, I guess, diminish his contributions to the promotion, because I think he just adds so much, man. Like, I'm watching his promo this week.
Yeah, no, he's the best. He's truly the best wrestler of all time, in my opinion.
He's just the man. And yeah, look, man, he can't move like Will Ospreay and stuff, And yeah, I'm not trying to do the tweet again. Like, he's not Ospreay or Kenny.
He's not Pac.
Imagine Punk is no Pac. No, but
Punk is no Pac. Punk is no Trey Baxter.
Yeah. Oh my god. No, but really, it's like, it's crazy how much some of these people like will just like, they'll see those guys and go, okay, well, Punk adds no value. Like, he adds so much value to the company. I don't get people that diminish him, and I don't get people that diminish MJF like at all.
Cool.
Yeah.
The element that they add to the programming is like invaluable. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say my take on that is I suspect, and I could be wrong, is that it's a pretty small minority that just happens to be pretty vocal of people who would diminish Punk and or MJF. I think most AEW fans who are invested in the product
realize how awesome he
are
is.
like huge fans of those guys.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Yeah, and I've seen people also go like, well, giving the belt back to Punk only works if he goes heel. And frankly, I don't think he is.
No, I disagree.
Parker, when he got squashed, like, some people were like, oh, he's turning heel. And to me, I was like, no, this is like a Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a babyface moment. He's gonna train his ass off. He's gonna get hyped up by Ace Steel, and he's gonna come back and he's gonna win.
think he's going to turn heel in Chicago? Like, no, he's not. To me, I think that ultimately the idea was Punk is going to come back and beat Mox, and then Mox, understandably kind of pitched in with like, well, I don't want to look bad, so like, can I squash him? And ultimately, they probably figured out a way to where it makes enough sense. And I think the way they've gone about this has been really, really great. And so I'm super hyped for that match. I think it's gonna be great. I think Punk's gonna win, and unfortunately, people are gonna like complain about it. But to me, I think Mox has done so much great work, and he's saved face by beating Punk the way he did, and he has so much cachet now just after that win, and just so much of what he's done that like I think he'll be all right. And yeah, I'm excited for that. Punk's gonna win, and I'm totally fine with that. CM Punk's awesome. He's one of the best wrestlers ever. He's my GOAT personally, and so yeah, fuck yeah. I'm really looking forward to that match, and the other match that I'm looking forward to on a similar level is Bryan Danielson and Jericho. Another match that when it was being set up, like I saw some pretentious fans kind of being like, "Oh, why is Danielson working with Jericho?
Why'd you choose that accent? That's so crazy."
Yeah, right. Why is Danielson working with someone so below his level?
Why is he working? Why is he working with you? Dante Martin.
Dante Martin. Pack. But to me, it's like Jericho is such a unique and special performer that I think that match is going to be super memorable, super heated. It's very interesting. It's going to be
There's
awesome.
like no way. There's like no way it's not great to me. Like 10 years ago, this is like a number one all-time like dream match.
Yes.
So,
and frankly, like I literally just because of how I know it'll probably go and how Jericho pretty much delivers on pay-per-view and Danielson is Danielson. I mean, look what Danielson did with fucking Jake Hager on Wednesday. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think Danielson and Jericho is like a pretty safe bet for like a match hovering around 4.5 stars. So I'll be the high man. I think it like has match of the night potential. So I'm real big on that one. I'm super excited for it. It's going to be so dramatic also with the storytelling element of what does Daniel Garcia do? What side does he take? So
the Garcia angle is a lot of fun. I love that.
Yeah, it is fun.
I think they've done a really good job there. And that to me, just as much. So if I can talk about Garcia for a sec.
Yeah.
I think he's been a great wrestler this year. And he's done great in every opportunity he's gotten. I did not think that big like upset over Danielson in the main event that week did near as much for him as like a lot of people seem to think, because it was not a clean win. Like he tapped him out, but there was like so much shenanigans and bullshit at the end. And so to me, like that doesn't help anybody. That just lets you win via that. That's why I don't think Cole is that strong, or Britt Baker or something like that. And so, however, both Danielson and Jericho, two legitimate all-time great legends, Hall of Famers, who are both still active, are like fighting over this guy to essentially have him be under their wing. I think that does so much more for him or maybe I shouldn't say so much more. I think that does just as much for him as going back and forth with Danielson in a competitive match, because in AEW, unless you're like Wardlow, every match is back and forth and competitive.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, look at this, man. Like, frankly, and I'm a fan of this performer, but like Lee Moriarty was given a lot in a match with Bryan Danielson, and where is he now? So
yeah, for sure. It's all about portrayal and placement and everything like that. That's such a big deal.
And so to me, the viewer is being sent the message that this guy's being he's being sought after by like two of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And so it's like it doesn't get more like big time than that when it comes to just how you're being presented. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that match. Other thing I want to touch out on the all out card is what did I want to say? Let me look at this card again. Let me pull this up.
So many matches.
There are a lot of matches. The trios final the trios final with God, I'm losing my link
Omega and the Bucks.
Yeah, Omega and the Bucks versus Silver
Dark Order and Page.
Yeah, Silver Reynolds and Hangman. That's going to be very emotional and heated as well. I think just purely off Omega and Hangman's interactions, that's going to be another great match. What do you think about? I mean, obviously, I think we're all in agreement that the Elite are going to win, because that's who these belts are for. What do you guys think of the decision to make Dark Order go to the finals rather than opting for the best like work rate match?
So I think it's great, and I would almost push back by saying that this isn't like the best work rate match, because I think this has a legitimate chance to be the match of the night for a lot of people. And the match of the night on an AEW pay-per-view is almost always like a borderline match of the year contender or something on those on that level. Just because we've like Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Page are all like best in the world contenders, and then Dark Order. Reynolds is like kind of vanilla. There's just like not much there. But people forget how fucking over John Silver is. And Silver's going to get one of those crazy comebacks that he always has, and Chicago's going to go wild for him, doing like the flip sentons and the kicks and the suplexes and everything. So I think this match is going to be fantastic. It's too bad that we didn't get the Undisputed Era match ever, because I think that was supposed to be the original choice here. But I'm not like a huge Elite lore guy, but and like I don't watch Being the Elite or anything like that, but I think the what they've done on TV to set this match up with the interactions between Page and the Bucks and the Dark Order, and then Omega has done no segments outside of his matches, right? He's just been a wrestler, right? Is I think setting us up for some really unique and interesting storytelling, which if you can add that to a match that's already going to be fantastic on paper, that adds so much to me. That's why the Bucks versus Golden Lovers match is so beloved. It's why the Golden Lovers versus Tanahashi and Ospreay is so beloved. It's because not only were they fantastic wrestling matches, but there were genuine story hooks there too that were incredibly compelling as well. And I think this could be along those lines too.
Rob, what match are you looking forward to the most on All Out?
This is kind of going to be a weird one, but Hobbs versus Starks. To see the outcome and to see where that goes. To be quite honest with you,
I'm looking forward to seeing how in that match how Hobbs is like portrayed, because and how he performs in that situation, because this is immediately like the biggest match of his career. He's become such like a part of the roster that AEW it feels like he feels like a day one guy. So much that people forget that he was pretty much plucked out of obscurity to join this promotion, and he has had no genuinely high profile singles matches like this.
Not on pay-per-view.
Not on pay-per-view.
On Arthur Ashe, but besides that, not really.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a big test for Hobbs, and I really hope he succeeds, because he has such an awesome story. He's such a likable guy, but in a way that he portrays being a heel in such a way that you're like, oh man, this guy's such like a monster. Who's gonna be able to take down this guy? So I'm really looking forward to that too. I think that's a good shout, Rob.
You know what's funny about that match to me? I feel like that's the type of match that if these guys really want to make something of their careers on a higher level, how the fuck have you done 3 hours? Hey man, it's Wrestle Beers podcast, baby. But I think, listen, if the people involved really want to make something of their careers on a higher level and elevate their standing, this is a good spot to find a way to do that. And I think it could honestly, thank you for the donation, $10. Any ideas on who the Joker is? I hope everyone's good. Tony, I'll get to your question in a second.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Donation. Listen, I think this match can go either way for me, Parker, in terms of how good it is. I feel like these guys could very easily, just given their place in the surrounding card and stuff like that, that I think that these guys I could easily foresee them, frankly, laying an egg or not laying an egg, but just having a match that just happens. You know what I mean?
Forced to follow some big match or angle and be just have the crowd not that invested in it, because they haven't gotten a ton of time to back it up. I think both Starks and Hobbs are really beloved by the AEW faithful, but this particular program just hasn't gotten a ton of TV time.
Yeah, and so to me, it's like I could see this either being a match that kind of comes and goes and doesn't do much for either guy from a match standpoint, and like doesn't really, I guess, help either guy's standing, or it could be one of those things where like they really do something just memorable and like coming out of it, you're like, wow, like we have people who are much better off having this match. So I'm really interested in just how which one of it is going to be, because I think it's going to be one or the other, to be honest with you. Regarding the Joker, yes, we have a ladder match, a casino ladder match on this show, and just off memory, we have Dante, we have Roosh, we have Andrade, we have Claudio, we have Wheeler Yuta, and who's the sixth man? I'm forgetting right now.
Penta.
Pentagon, yeah, Penta, and there's a Joker. A lot of good names. To be honest with you guys, I feel like the not that the casino ladder match.
Do your ladder match take?
No, not even the ladder match take. What I was gonna just do is I'm not gonna go like ladder match bad. What I was gonna say though is AEW's casino ladder matches. Like I think it's fair to say like none of them are like sniff the top 30 AEW matches of all time.
Yeah, they haven't lived up to expectations. When you think these amount in like, it's weird. If you said Money in the Bank ladder match for these guys in WWE, it feels like they would almost be better a lot of the time, which I don't really.
Yeah, I thought about that. Like how I think it's either if it's like the producers or whoever's structuring those matches. WWE's ladder matches with multiple people are generally really well put together, and generally
that was my thought. They're usually rehearsed quite a bit too, and they have a pretty clear plan for everything.
Really well put together.
I don't know if that's
generally great. This year's was kind of mid, but like I remember last year's with Ricochet and Big E, like was like really great. For example, but with that said, this one has a lot of high level wrestlers. You know, Rey Fenix is in this thing. Andrade's in this thing, Claudio is in this thing, and he's been in a couple of these. So I'd imagine this has a chance to be the best one. Regarding the Joker, I know there's been a lot of speculation about MJF. I think Dave literally reported that the plan was for Adam Cole to be the Joker. I'm not even.
That was my first thought.
Yeah, Cole. Yeah. I wonder what they do with Adam now that he's not with his guys, because Kyle O'Reilly had neck surgery. So they got to get creative with him now and kind of kickstart him back up because he is a star. I think the Joker's going to be Adam Cole, Tony, and I'm looking forward to this match. Actually, I think this is going to be the best casino ladder match. What do you think, Rob? Anyway,
I think we may have lost him.
There we go. I thought it was all from you. But what was that last part of that question again?
Who do you think's going to be the Joker? And
I think it's going to be the Joker.
Yeah,
and Adam.
He's Adam Cole.
I think Adam is just going to go back to doing single stuff.
Okay.
Bobby took his ran from the grind, and fuck is his face? Kyle has just had neck surgery, so
gotcha.
It's going to be MJF, which I don't see it being MJF at all.
Go ahead, Parker.
I was just going to say I'm super stoked for the show overall. Yeah, I think we've done a pretty decent preview of like the most important stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can't wait. Like this. I love the card. The one thing I'm like curious about is the Acclaimed in that tag title match. I'm curious to see how they do. It almost feels to me that they intentionally put in somebody who's not like a top tier tag team to give more breathing room to everything else.
I actually agree when I'm looking at this card in general. You know,
because there's just so much. There's just so much on this show that it's like it's okay for the tag title, and because the Acclaimed are not thought of as like a top tier working team, they will almost certainly exceed expectations because they'll be given that chance. They're not going to be working under a commercial TV format or anything like that. So that should be a lot of fun too. But I'm super stoked for the show. I love AEW pay-per-views. They literally always hit for me.
So there you go. All Out is tomorrow in Chicago. It's available on the Bleacher Report app, which is sometimes a little dubious for me. But
BR Live,
Bleacher Report. That was our roundup of the All Out card in general as an overview. This has been the Wrestle Purist podcast. We went 3 hours. It kind of flew by, to be honest with you. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing this. Even there's going to be a lot of discourse about the Drew McIntyre thing, but I actually did have fun with this WWE pay-per-view, and I expect to have even more fun tomorrow at All Out. Man, this was fun. This is the Wrestle Purist podcast for Rob, Parker, and Israel, who made her return today, and Monty. Can't forget Monty. I am Hollywood Hangman Adam Pierce, otherwise known as Backup Hangman on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys next time.